Excellent. Good morning. How is everybody doing this morning? I'm going to let you know right now, and we'll remind you repeatedly throughout. We are having some technical difficulties in the studio. This may very well be a disjointed broadcast. Oh, sports. So you don't have CBS running through the board. Okay, well then, yeah, kill it after the spot. Okay. All right, we're having a couple technical difficulties connecting with traffic this morning, so let's skip ahead to weather. Here is WBRZ meteorologist Marissa Nuzzo. Was that on the air? Okay. Okay. I'll get it again in about 90 seconds. All right. Well, okay, so we're not on the air. The board is not live. Just making 100% sure before I start cursing and saying mean things to people that I shouldn't. No? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not cursing anybody. All right, we are an external and we are not live. Okay. So YouTube, give me just a minute. And YouTube, give me just a minute. And this is the only place there's a show this morning for right now. So hang tight. We'll be around in just a second. Stop what? No. YouTube's the only place we have a show. Let's stay live there. Let me post out on all the rest of our social media outlets that were there. While I'm doing that, can you go let Franz in? Just another minute or so. Sorry about that. Pages. Stop it. Why can I not post? Well, all right. Yeah, well, quiet's what we got right now. So I'm gonna start up. We'll do the show in just a minute, but
Radio's out, or
we don't. Yeah, our entire radio studio is down right now. We're on YouTube, and that's about the only place we're on. Okay. Okay. But should we stay in? Yeah, I don't want us to pop up on external and not know that we're there. So, thank you. Dang it, Bobby. I want to post a story, please. There we go.
you are on YouTube, right?
Yes, we should be. Happy Wednesday, everybody. We're having some major problems on air right now. The only place to find the show this morning is on YouTube, so go ahead and click that link. Major problems.
So, Texas, Austin's amazing. The food was good. Went to an Italian joint, the first Vespari, which was I'll be back. Went to Tommy Want Wingy, which was some of the best chicken wings I ever had. Um, Uchiko, we did omakase the second night. Uchiko, and we just did like 1,000 courses of omakase, which which was a wonderful meal. And then the last night we were there, we did Geraldine's, which was the hotel we were staying at. Watched the LSU game from an LSU owned bar or a Baton Rouge guy. The city is interesting though. Lots and lots and lots. Not a lot of cops, a lot of homeless. Yeah, but the weather was like it was here with a little less humidity, so like it was absolutely comfortable. We walked around a lot. It was just it was a nice getaway. I will be back. I want to go. I want to go to Amarillo for a weekend. Well, I want to go to Amarillo again because I did some hiking there, and then San Antonio. I want to go back. Yeah. So, do you know your radios though?
Yep. It's gonna be a lot of that.
We're not out of business. We're just.
I have a list of questions for you about Acts.
Okay, there's some of them I can answer.
Suit to church the last day.
Yeah.
Just bring a suit. Like
Yeah.
Tax suit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Next time you go to Austin, go to Home Slice.
I was not able to get. So I saw it.
Yeah.
The pizza game there seemed good. That was on my list. Home Slice.
And they give you these rolls of salad that is so freaking good.
What was interesting to me was the bars having the food truck attachments, or the bars having an innocuous like.
Why can't I post to
barbecue in the
Facebook?
back or something that you wouldn't know. Yeah.
It's called Long Branch.
That's kind of what I want to do next time is hit some of the surround. I don't want to stay downtown next time. I want to go to some.
And it's close to downtown Round Rock, which is where Georgetown's really cool too.
How far is Round Rock from Baton Rouge? 6.5, 7.
6.5.
Okay. The drive we drove wasn't bad at all. It was 7.5 on the way there.
Yeah.
Because we went around Houston,
Yeah.
and then on the way back we went through Houston. But the food was great though. I mean, it was just.
And then Mexican restaurant Matt's El Rancho, so fucking good.
So the hard.
That's a legendary place in Austin.
So the hard thing about Mexican or Tex-Mex, Austin.
Sorry. No, finish the thought. Finish the thought.
So the hard thing about Mexican or Tex-Mex in Austin is you don't know if you're not from there. There's like a lot of it, right?
There is a lot of it.
And so you're like, I don't want to go to the joint that all the locals are like, you went where?
Yeah.
You know.
Matt's is the shit.
Now I'm gonna say this. I'm a very gregarious, outgoing person. I can be a jerk. I can be an asshole. But I'm pretty.
Are you the guy that says girls?
No. My thing is when I'm in a place I've not been before, I'll ask local people at the hotel. I'll ask local people at the coffee shop at the hotel.
Yeah.
Hey, where's a good place to do this? The general attitude of people from Austin was meh. It's kind of weird because like it was either
It's like they're all over themselves.
yeah, they're like super friendly or the opposite, which is
Super friendly ones are from Texas. The ones that are not friendly are not from Texas.
yeah.
Yeah. That was a very self-serving Texas thing to say. Yeah.
So,
With
so I gotta give a shout out to one of Brian's buddies, Mitch from BR Mattress.
the Baton Rouge mattress outlet, phenomenal.
So I haven't gotten my mattress yet.
Uh-huh.
It's being made.
Yeah.
It's being made.
Yeah.
Oh wow, custom mattress.
I don't think it's custom. I just think it's made to order. Slight distinction.
Yeah.
So I go in and I'm like, he's like, well, what kind of mattress do you want? And I'm like, the kind I can sleep on.
So much more to it than that.
Dude, he put me on this mattress, king size mattress, and like it was the only mattress I laid on,
Yeah.
and it was the only one I wanted to lay on.
Okay.
It was just like it was ridiculously good, dude.
Got it.
There's an Alaskan king mattress that's way bigger than a California king.
It
No
doesn't
idea there
surprise
would
me.
be need for anything bigger than a king, much less a California king, much less an Alaskan king. Like, how big can a mattress be? That's the entire room.
Pretty big.
You're basically sleeping on a trampoline at that point.
Well, let me tell you, the bed frame came in
Uh-huh.
and is set up in my house. The
Yeah.
mattress is coming in sometime in the near future,
All right.
like maybe this week, next week. I'm looking at the bed frame, and maybe I just haven't looked at a king bed frame without a mattress on it. That thing looks enormous.
Right.
I mean, like
Alaskan king.
Okay, I'm not doubting that it's real.
What's
What's the
That's like
need?
a family of 6 on that thing.
I didn't say you doubted me. I wanted to show you how big it was.
You need like point of reference, but it's huge.
It's
Like I
pretty
would never see my wife again. I'd be like, hello.
So deeper level conversation here.
Uh-huh.
I've always had a queen size bed. I've slept in a king size bed before, hotels, whatever. But I've always had a queen size bed. So
Yeah.
when you sleep in a queen size bed with someone, there's space, but not a sea of space.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So in a king size bed, do you find that you migrate or that your partner migrates towards center? Or is it you're on your side, hey, I love you.
And
But
then
sleep time's about sleep.
yeah, well,
You're also on a different sleep schedule, I would imagine.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, no, Christy gets up early to go work out. So.
Okay.
But Brian also only sleeps like 1 hour, so.
Yeah. So yeah,
Red Bull and cocaine.
What?
Sorry, what?
Okay.
Sorry, what?
Brian,
no, I wish I did.
Powder, not rock. Powder.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's because
conversation.
John Kennedy's racist, apparently.
Was kind of.
No, it's not.
It's not
Oh,
racist.
come on, dude.
No, it's not.
I don't think it's racist. I think it's more just a John Kennedyism.
Yes,
Right.
it's a John Kennedyism. That's a fair assessment, but that doesn't make it inherently racist to say,
But that's that.
oh, a crackhead. Oh, he's a crackhead
So-
because he meant black people.
Well-
You can't have a dog whistle if you don't know you're blowing a dog whistle.
So,
Whoa.
so here's the thing.
Well-
I agree with the assessment that to say that every crackhead is quote unquote black.
That in and of itself is
racist.
by Gary.
However, the crack epidemic did essentially hit the African American community hardest.
Yeah.
However, that all being said, I don't think it was a racist statement.
The crack epidemic.
Look, if I want law enforcement from a drug user, I'm not going crack. I'm going meth.
Well,
I'm sorry.
what? And that, but see, that was Gary's whole point.
A heroin addict's willing to do stuff.
He didn't say opioids.
First person to call.
He didn't say opioids. He didn't say meth. He said crack. So he's talking about black people because black people are crackheads. Like, that's not.
Wow, Gary. Tell us how you really feel.
Does Gary have a shot on this one? I haven't
No.
really been keeping track.
No,
There's
he
another
doesn't, and
Republican
I was-
candidate, right? There's another Republican candidate.
No,
besides-
there's another Democrat candidate.
Okay.
That guy is Luke Mixon.
Does Luke have a shot?
So I don't know
I
if
wish
Luke
he
has a
did.
shot, and here's why. Luke is, and Alondra and I have had this conversation before. He's a good man. He's
Great
a
man.
moderate Democrat at worst, completely middle of the road at best.
So good dude.
But he's a really good dude. He has a good heart and a good work ethic, and he's a very principled man. He's not involved in this shit show.
Gary's
but-
trying to pull him in a little bit,
Which
right?
makes me like him.
He at least debated Gary, right?
No,
I thought he.
I don't. There hasn't been any debates that I know of yet. At
here's-
least none that have
here's my
made it public.
question.
But
I'm sorry.
I was mid sentence or mid topic. So can you be a good man, not get involved in the circus, and still have enough oxygen left in the room when two gas bags are doing what they do? Is there enough room to have a voice in a campaign like that? That John Kennedy ad got him more free press than paid press. If he buys one 30-second spot on the air, every news outlet's going to report it locally and nationally.
Shy of smoking weed on a commercial ad.
And that was just on social media, and a number of outlets shied away from that.
So from the outside looking in, it looks like Gary is raising a tremendous amount of money. Or it's optics.
Yeah, we know, Casey.
So yes,
Thanks, Casey.
he
Captain Obvious.
no. So,
But if you're just
okay,
yeah.
as everybody's waking up and tuning in this morning, and I greatly appreciate everybody waking up and tuning in this morning. They're not finding us on the air, so they're looking over here real quick, and that's going to happen throughout until we're back up and running. Which are there little progress updates on that screen, or is it all just black
It's
and gray?
still black still,
Still
yeah.
black. Okay.
Yeah.
And the side part of this is the worst part of this that we have to find a way out of, is when the computer system crashes, the command to make the board live in an emergency situation is built into the system. So we can't even like take back controls. We can't even like take it off of autopilot on our own. It's stuck where it is. Is your money now? Is that airing on air?
Sounds like it.
Oh, great. So I get to get the alerts all again.
So does that mean you'll be back on air after this?
No.
Oh.
There's an open satellite command that runs in the background that is apparently still running.
So I moved into a new house. That's the thing. No, it was actually very nice. All the stuff's over there. I've got a few stuff left in my old house.
All right. So yeah, if everybody else is sucking all the air out of the room with all the poop show, is there enough room left for someone to campaign on ideals and and I'm sure I disagree with Luke probably 55 to 60% of the time, right? There's probably 40 to 45% of the things that I completely agree with him on. Some things I probably don't even care about, but he's going to be on the other side of the aisle. So is there enough room left in the race for someone to run on actual ideals and principles?
No, and that's what's wrong with politics today.
Exactly my point.
Yeah.
So does Gary become someone who's a disruptor who just knocks people out but can't win? I mean, I'm not saying he can't.
He hasn't won anything yet, and I'm not
but
saying that's a can't either. I'm saying he can't fail his way upward. What I'm saying is it would be nice to see him run for Metro Council and win.
Yeah.
Run for state rep. Well, he ran for state senate and lost, and he was abandoned by the state party in that. He got robbed in that race, and that was before this race. So
I'd love to see him on the council. I'd love to see him on the council. I think he would be a good voice. It would be also nice to see the rubber meet the road.
Yeah.
But he's got like a ridiculous social media following. Anyways.
No, yeah, he does. He does have a great social media following from the Rouge collection, I think was the original blog.
Yeah. Well, paper. Publication.
Oh.
Digital and paper.
Demographic that's all on social media,
Yeah.
Young people.
Right. So how does that translate to real life? Does that translate to real life? Can you get it to move from one to the other? And this is something we're finding with a lot of influencer culture. A lot of it doesn't even move from one social media platform to the next.
I'm aware.
I'm aware. It's a difficult thing.
Yeah.
It is when you have somebody who is like hyper popular on Facebook and they can't get their tribe to move to Twitter or YouTube.
Well, so hyper popular on TikTok because you're all due respect, a hot chick making hot videos.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing, right?
Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm with you.
But I mean, are you an influencer or are you just?
See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like it's a weird spot to be in because, if you can't get someone to translate from one social media platform to the next, how can you get them to translate from a social media platform to real life action? There's a lot. It's easier to click like and call that a protest than it is to actually get up and protest. It's easier to click like and call that support than it is to get up and actually go vote.
Did you see that Kim Kardashian is
No.
being investigated and in fact prosecuted by the SEC because she made a comment about a Bitcoin, not Bitcoin, but what do you call the cryptocurrency without announcing that she was being paid to advertise it? So she made a social media.
You have to push.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's cooperating with the SEC now.
Good for her.
She'll pay a fine, but candidly, the fine is to her. Yeah.
I busted this out just in case.
We might get to that. All right. So do we want to I mean, we don't even have the intro for Legally Served. We can't even get to it.
No, can't get. Oh, do you have it?
I want to talk about, is Tom Brady going to get spousal support from Giselle? Because she's worth her net worth. Yesterday,
do you have the bumps like in your folder or no?
40.
I wouldn't know where to find them, and they might all be work parts. You might have to if you play them, you might be playing them out of what's the with an audition, not a player, but the mixer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
So I don't know anything about football, but I know Giselle was worth, when I Googled Giselle yesterday, $40 million. She's got a lot of money.
per year. Per year. Yeah, he's because Brady's worth more than that.
I know. I think her net worth is more than his.
I think her net worth is a lot more than 40
Surely
million.
they had a prenuptial agreement.
Yeah, to be more than 40 million.
Surely they had
At
a
a
prenuptial.
certain point, do you just forget about a prenup because there's just so much money? You're swimming in it like Scrooge McDuck.
As the person in the room that's been divorced twice,
Uh-huh.
I will tell you.
That's brutal.
Yeah, really. I'm bad
Charm.
at marriage.
I will read your butt.
Yeah, don't read my book on marriage. But my point is you take half of my $5, I'm pretty upset. And that's just $5.
Yeah.
You take half of my million, and I have $500,000
You
left.
get 2 alimony payments from?
I'm still no, I don't have any alimony. But my point is, half of anything still makes me hurt.
I understand that. I get where you're at on that front.
No
but
alimony.
Is there what I'm saying? Is there not a certain point? You take half of my $5, and I can't afford a cup of coffee. You take half of my million, I can still afford to buy a nice house. You take half of my billion, and I'm never going to know it's gone because $500 million goes a long way.
Neither of these guys, her or him, are we going to sit there and say, "Man, I hope you can make it."
Right?
The struggle. The struggle.
Yeah.
Tom's earning potential, whether he continues to play football or he does commentary, he'll be okay.
I mean, if he stopped
She's
today,
definitely going to be okay.
if he stopped today and just sold TB12 hats for the rest of his life, he'd be okay.
Or just like lived off of ads. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like
He's going to have to go do porn.
yeah, no,
He's good.
She doesn't have to start an
Doesn't
OnlyFans.
have to.
Yeah, she doesn't have to.
Hey, by the way, we are
She
looking
wouldn't
at
be upset if she
we're-
did.
we are looking at sunny skies today with a high of 85. Overnight low gets down to 60 tonight. We top out at 87 tomorrow, getting back down to 59 on Thursday night. Up to 90 on Friday, but only 86 on game day Saturday. Right now, we're at 67 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge.
Drought?
We're in a drought.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It is a, it is. It's been dry here.
Which is what is allowing
It's
the
what
weather to cool
Jason
down,
Wheat
right?
says. Jason Wheat says we're out.
Oh, is it Jacelyn today?
No. I just saw her on Twitter last night talking about the drought.
Okay.
Not how to pronounce her name.
What, Jacelyn?
Yeah.
I had some troubles with that
So-
the other day.
I say Benny's, but when I'm feeling ritzy, Benet's. Benet's car wash. Take my car to get custom cleaned at Benet's.
And you wouldn't use the formal Benjamins?
No.
It's still Benny's with a
When I'm feeling
with a
when I'm
French
feeling sluggish, Benet's.
Benet.
Yeah.
So I've met some of my neighbors.
Okay.
They seem really nice. Thank God.
I only know the ones.
Are you
That's not
comfortable
bad.
sharing what neighborhood you moved to?
I live near Episcopal.
Okay.
So I live within walking distance of Episcopal. The
I
drive
didn't mean that narrowed down.
so the
Like I say, I live in Sherwood. That's the biggest subdivision in Baton Rouge.
let me say
I'm not shouting
let
at
me-
street corners.
let me say this on air and on the record. I'm heavily armed. Anyways,
So go while you're not home.
yeah,
Is what
so
you just
yeah.
said.
Sandra
I'm
says
heavily
Le
armed.
Benets.
So
Sandra says Le Benets.
Benet.
no, it's like Target. Target.
Touché.
So
Go and get a Royale with cheese.
Yeah,
So,
Tammy, we are
Sherwood area.
unfortunately off the air.
the drive-in morning,
We're having technical
10
issues.
minutes.
Yeah.
afternoon. Woo, that's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Woo, that's a crapshoot.
Mm-hmm.
At 6:30 or at 6 o'clock, I left LSU's campus, got home within 20 minutes. Not a big deal. No traffic. It was moving the entire way.
Okay.
Ooh, that interstate though.
Okay.
And then the exit.
But do you go one exit past and loop back on Harold's Ferry?
No.
Because first of all, you got to deal with all the bums at Sherwood North Harold Ferry, right?
the bums.
That's a lot of bums.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, my wife has a theory.
Something's
that-
going on at that Raising Cane, by the way.
We have gypsies.
Yeah.
We have
Something's going on
gypsies
at that
that sell
Raising
light up
Cane.
balloons. Baton Rouge has gypsies that sell light up balloons at the street corners. And it's like you could see the guy who with the the half a cardboard box sign.
Yeah.
He's got a sign and he's standing there in the middle of the road. Or there's the guy who's off to the side of the road by the bus stop who's got a light up balloon who wants to sell you a product. That's
So-
capitalism.
So-
Like in Mexico,
Sherwood.
the people with gum.
Uh-huh.
Hold on. At Sherwood, I get into the lane that allows me to turn right onto Harold's Ferry. So I don't have to U-turn back. I have not seen one. I haven't
Bum?
seen one bum yet. Although some things are going on at that Raising Cane, and I'm not casting dispersions at the Raising Cane,
Mhm.
but There is more cops at that Raising Cane's than at a Waffle House.
You remember?
Graves. Come on,
No,
man.
it would no. And this isn't on Cane's at all. This is, I think, the place next door.
Okay.
Remember, there was a double homicide at that place next door. It was like a
A bar?
off-brand cell phone shop.
Oh, like Metro PCS?
No, but not even that. That even has a
You
brand
mean
on
like
it.
burners?
No, well, probably, but like I don't remember the name of it now.
Yeah,
But
baby.
it's right next door. Cane's is just, they've got a heavily trafficked location, but it's also a heavily trafficked location.
Yeah.
Saw what you did there.
But look, if you run into problems at that intersection, if you go up to Millerville and then loop back,
There's the back way to get there.
yeah, if you loop back on Harold's Ferry, you're going opposite traffic at that
There's
point,
a
and it might actually be
wonderful-
quicker.
There's a wonderful Breck
NA.
Park. There's a wonderful Breck Park near that subdivision on Harold's Ferry. Has a dog park.
Yeah,
It's just beautiful.
yeah,
Beautiful, great.
yeah.
I
It was
would
in the
say
headlines
St.
not long
Billy's
ago. We
used
don't need to dive into
murder,
why.
Another murder.
Rape, but
Rape.
yeah, in the daylight, yeah. But
So-
it is,
Daylight.
Don't go there. Oh, daylight.
yeah. But that like
Look,
could
I was
happen
living
anywhere.
in mid city before.
It could happen at any
I
time
know.
of day. It could happen any time of
It-
day.
no,
Call
it-
mid city the range.
But yeah, that park. So if you're like from the New Orleans area, I compare that one to Lafreniere Park out in Metairie. Like that those two are very, very comparable. It's like, it's not like it's City Park, but if you got a family reunion picnic or whatever you want to do,
Mhm.
that's the place. That is
all
where
right.
that's who should be out
So
there.
I want to talk law for a second
Yeah,
because I'm here.
probably should.
You sent me a link to an article about that the ACLU is in arms about a school field trip.
Yeah.
Nope.
Wait, do we want to do this with the intro and everything?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay. I bet you could find it in there.
And imaging?
Yes.
I'm going to assume imaging because that's where the outside in one was.
Okay. We could play that all the way through on 2 and whatnot. It's program 2, not WBRZ. Be nice if we could hop up on WBRZ on a day like today, wouldn't it? Park is sponsored by Raising Cane's, ironically.
Beignets.
The thing is,
Bene.
if you want, like, you know how Chick-fil-A has the reputation of being super fast?
Yeah.
That Cane's moves quickly. They move very quickly.
They sell one thing there. How long does it take to get some fingers? I mean, seriously.
I'm not.
We're at it. Well, unlike
Trying-
some chicken
just-
places, they're not out of the fried chicken.
That has happened at another chicken place
Let me see if it's this one.
that, as of now, will remain unnamed.
What is it?
Huh?
What's the chicken?
Rhymes with
No,
lies.
we don't-
Rhymes with lies.
No, we don't do that here.
Rhymes with lies.
That's another show if you want that.
Okay, yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I'm going to play it in 2.
All right, here we go.
Here, I'm going to put y'all.
I like not having the headphones on this morning.
Here, I'm going to just put y'all in 2.
Okay, cool. So I don't think we're at risk of.
Tell the Breck Park what.
No, it's so smooth this morning. Oh, by the way, we're the ferries are in service today, says WBRZ's traffic. All right.
It's time for Legally Served with attorney Franz Borghardt.
Your Honor, recess. I'd like an answer to the question, Judge. I'll allow it.
An open discussion about how the law applies to the headlines.
It's not insulting. But you insult the integrity of this court. The defendant is not guilty.
The defense is wrong.
But somebody in this courtroom is.
Being charged with a crime. How about court mark? That what this is? I'm being charged with a crime?
Legally Served with Franz Borghardt.
Me, what I know and don't know, I know the law.
Now I feel like we can get started. Now I feel like we can really get rolling. Attorney Franz Borghardt in for Legally Served, such as it is.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Franz. How are you? All right.
Some-
Wait, we are here for legal commentary wherever we may distribute that legal
Look.
commentary.
Court TV, WBRZ, WAFB, YouTube.
My dumb A YouTube. Yes,
Yeah.
that's where we're at this morning.
Brian Haldane,
Yeah.
Mornings with Brian Haldane on YouTube. Hey, it's all money.
Yeah.
What's up?
Oh, just a school system sending a couple thousand students to a what turned out to be posed as a religious retreat with a lot of traumatic content and forced voter registration.
The forced voter registration was the part about the article that you sent me that I felt awkward about. Like, yeah, the constitutional issues, that whole pesky First Amendment, free exercise clause, separation of church and state.
We're going to break that down for realsies.
Yeah.
But continue.
Can a school make someone register to vote? They can certainly encourage. I mean, that's a part of basic civics.
First of all, they're high school seniors, so we assume they're of age.
I'm okay with look, hear me out on this. I'm okay with people registering to vote.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with people voting. I'm just like, that was
You're
weird.
okay with people voting?
Yeah, I generally.
all right, good.
Yeah, I'm generally okay with that.
Yeah.
Depending on who the people are.
Sure.
But like, that entire article just was weird to me. Like, set it up. Do the setup.
The American Civil Liberties Union published a letter Monday saying it's looking into potential civil rights violations at the East Baton Rouge School System's Day of Hope field trip, which has drawn backlash from students, parents, and at least one school board member in recent weeks. Since the system bused roughly 2,000 high school students on September 20th to Living Faith Christian Center for the event, which was initially billed as a college and career fair, complaints have come in from attendees and parents about the trip. Many of those claims framed it as a religious retreat where students were separated by gender. Some parents alleged that boys were treated to games and prizes while the girls were made to listen to discussions of sexual abuse and other traumatic topics. Others claimed students were denied lunch until they registered to vote. Quote, all students have the right to be treated equally in school, no matter their sex, gender, identity, sexual orientation, or faith, ACLU of Louisiana Advocacy Director Chris Kaiser, who I have a request in for an interview with. Chris Kaiser said in a statement, EBR School's Day of Hope subjected students to differential treatment based on harmful sex stereotypes in the context of school-sponsored religious programming and without families' consent. We are all free to exercise our religious beliefs individually, but it is never the government's role to promote or endorse a specific religious viewpoint. It is imperative that EBRS remembers its constitutional duties to its students.
So let's inch by inch this one.
Mm-hmm.
Having a school event, a public school event at a religious building, not necessarily a violation of your constitutional rights.
Correct.
I mean, a church or a religious worship center can rent out space or voluntarily give up the space. And that in and of itself is not an issue. But the segregation of the boys and the girls.
Huge issue to me.
Yeah. And I don't have daughters, but I mean, that kind of,
Well, I send my daughter to an all-girls school, so
right, but it's a
voluntary thing.
It's a
and
voluntary
it's not a public
thing.
school either.
Right. So that's different, right?
Right.
You and I have chosen to put our children into religious educational system. So there is no private school, no constitutional right, First Amendment constitutional right.
Correct.
Public school, absolutely. Also, there's a Title IX issue here, equal access to education. So I don't know what people
this day was not about education.
Was it not?
Well, I mean, sitting through
is vocation
games and prizes.
Well, it's vocation. I mean, is vocational? If something is billed as a vocational like opportunity, is that educational? Was there any education going on? It sounded like there was a little bit.
I don't know. It was billed as such, but I don't know what you could classify as education under that realm.
So, state money or parish money was used on this, right?
Our property tax dollars.
Your money, my money, Elijah's money was used on this.
Mm-hmm.
So, what we're funding, what I'm anticipating the argument's going to be. What I'm funding is a school to do essentially a quasi-religious, quasi-discriminatory event.
Yes.
That's going to be an issue.
Guess
what else is going to pay? Guess what else you're going to pay for?
The lawsuit.
The lawsuit
And the settlement.
This ain't, I'm normally I'm normally good on my predictions. When I sit here, and I do criminal law, and I sit here and say, hey, there's going to be a civil lawsuit. This ain't a crystal ball scenario.
Oh.
It'll be a massive lawsuit.
Yeah.
And you and I are going to pay for that too. I mean, not directly, but directly.
Yeah. No, and the settlement's going to be ridiculous when there's 2,000 students that went there. And if 2 parents complained when it first started, you can guarantee 2,000 parents have a problem with it the moment it hits the courtroom.
Have to get approved. Like,
so Okay, so there's backstory here. Apparently, and they did this before the pandemic as well. Apparently, this has gone on for over a decade. Now, what one side is saying is that this Living Faith Christian Center kind of pulled a bait and switch, sold it as a career fair or college day career fair, and then once they got there, ushered them in like they were being indoctrinated into Scientology or something, like ushered them into the whole.
The Brian Haldane, Mornings with Brian Haldane takes no official position on Scientology. Or actually, you do. Actually, Brian probably does take.
Coming up at 9:30 this morning, Mark Reinder, former Scientology national spokesman and author of A Billion Years, My Escape from a Life in the Higher Ranks of Scientology, is going to join me. That's after this morning's show. It'll probably be on Friday morning.
Is that the one where they handle snakes?
No.
That's the one.
No, that's the one that Leah Remini was in.
Yeah. That's the one. Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
And they do the auditing.
Yeah.
And there's aliens.
Yes. Yeah. Well, there are aliens, but that's a whole other topic.
Right.
So it was what EBR schools can claim it was a bait and switch. We've had a relationship with these people for years. We've never had a problem before, and all of a sudden we get them there this time.
Yeah,
and they're dragging them in from.
But here's the thing, though: who was supervising the event? When you get all the kids there, did someone not think
chaperones
we
and
need
whatnot?
we need to shut this down?
Right.
This is not appropriate.
Right.
Now, would you feel differently if they were giving out condoms and doing sex ed?
Than giving religious talks?
Yeah.
And then, okay. The nature.
As a parent, I would feel differently, but I don't know that that's a constitutional issue.
It's not.
Right.
It's been proven to not be.
Right.
So, I would feel very much differently. But the nature of the talks, the topics, it wasn't just, hey, have you accepted Jesus Christ as your Savior? It wasn't something as simple as that. They were talking about forgiving your rapist.
So,
like, ladies, you're going to get raped, but you got to be cool with it afterwards. And they have non-licensed people talking about such traumatic events.
I'm using my hands here.
Yeah.
Look at the landscape of where we are right now with this United States Supreme Court. We just had a Supreme Court ruling, out of Texas, about a football coach. Do you remember that?
No.
Where prayer after football games, okay.
Yeah.
It's voluntary.
It is
okay.
It is.
What does this conservative-leaning United States Supreme Court do with this, if it ever were to get that far?
I think due to the nature of the talks, this wasn't a voluntary prayer. Those who signed up for the field trip had no idea what was on the back end of the field trip.
Well, and it's not like the kids can leave, right?
Right. Yeah,
Like,
you can't just peace out on this. Once you're in it for sure.
So I know I'm accused of leaning left.
Yeah.
Even though I'm anything but a leftist. Would I get a lot from these kind of commentary, these kind of discussions from some of my fundamentalist friends is, why do I hate God? What's wrong with these kids being?
I'm not making that.
Yeah,
Look, I put the fun in fundamentalism.
Yeah. And I posed the question, how would you feel if you support this event? How would you feel if instead
Maybe I just put the FU in fundamentalism.
Well, instead of God, it was a satanic-oriented Dark Lord, Prince of Darkness-oriented retreat.
Right.
Would you feel differently then?
Absolutely you would.
Yeah.
Absolutely you would. And that's why you can't have the one on the one hand, because you don't want the one on the other hand. That's why we don't live in a theocracy. That is why...
If Alondra wants to worship the Dark Lord, she can do that.
I mean... So...
This is going to be a no-brainer lawsuit. There's going to be money at some point given out. And the sad thing is there are some valid constitutional concerns here. And then there's going to be some parents that see a dollar sign. And you can't, those two sets of parents look the same.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
You can't do anything about it. And they both have valid claims here.
They do. By the way, Mary Patricia Ray is, she did not have a child on the trip, but she has children in EBR schools. And when she heard about this, she wanted to help facilitate some of the parents that have a problem with it. She set up a website called dayofnope.com. And she's been getting story after story after story about what went down that day and where people have problems specifically within it. So the website's still up.
Well, that's a good way to organize these people.
Mm-hmm.
What does she do for a living? She is a lobbyist, right? Lawyer lobbyist. Yeah.
More of a political consultant, but yeah.
Okay. Is there a distinction between a lobbyist and a consultant?
I think it's based off of person versus issue.
So I like that. I like that there's an organizational effort for these people. It'll stop multiple lawsuits. It'll be hopefully one lawsuit that can be resolved. How many students was it? 2,000?
2,000.
That's 2,000 claims.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of like, you ever get that check in the mail from AT&T or Verizon where you're a part of a class action lawsuit?
Yes.
Now,
yeah, and here's your check for $1.19.
Now, let's talk about the quantification of damages.
Okay.
How scarred are these kids? How much?
And that's where I'm going to bail on the whole thing.
I mean,
because they're not, and if they are, toughen up. It was an afternoon or a day. Is it? Yeah, but is that the crash list or is that because if that's the crash cut, then yeah, it's all good. Sorry guys. Once again, if you're joining us on YouTube because you normally listen on the air and we just magically weren't there this morning,
Thank you.
First of all, thank you. Secondly, hit that subscribe button while you're here. We are a fail-safe over on smash the subscribe button. We are a fail-safe in times like this. Our entire system went down, out of our hands. We have top men working on it, not to assume gender.
Top people.
I mean,
you're on master control. We have Alondra on master on the board right now.
She's in here. She's not working on it.
Yeah, right.
No. She's here to run the ship when the ship is running. It's beyond our pay grades. And I say our because I'm in that.
I got up this morning for this.
You did.
I did.
You did.
I enjoy. Listen,
this
for
is
the
Bo's
record.
pay grade.
For the record.
Wait. No. You got a tie on. You got up for more than just this. Because if you get up for just this, you're repping some Borghardt law swag.
I got court today.
He's like in sweatpants.
So
or no pants.
The low point of my day is I'm having. This is going to sound so bougie. I'm having curtains installed because the new house I'm in has no curtains.
Well, I declare.
Well, so you can declare there's no blinds either. So the bedrooms have bedroom and street view. So tonight, my son is staying with me tonight, and so I would like a little bit of privacy.
I can understand that.
So I'm going to court, and then, but I cherish each and every week that I am here.
Oh, I so appreciate that.
It makes me uncomfortable. Anytime Richard Sprinkle, who I love dearly, has to cover for me, it makes me uncomfortable.
I love
Richard does a good job.
Which is probably much better than he's much more lovable. He's much more lovable. He and I should do. You know what? He and I should do a show together.
Y'all should, and you should call it Legally Unfiltered.
Y'all should.
You know, I've been thinking we had the Legally Unfiltered show before Karen Schwala had the unfiltered thing she has.
You want to do?
Well, hers isn't legally unfiltered. It's just unfiltered.
Karen Unfiltered.
Like a Camel cigarette.
Karen Unfiltered?
Yes, Karen Unfiltered.
That's not a stretch.
No.
And I love her dearly too. And I'm thinking I should send a demand letter. I want some of that. I want some of that Schwala money. That's what I want.
First of all,
independent.
No, you want no piece of that. That would
You want that independent.
That would be like keying Chris Nakamoto's car.
Let me say this. Despite her, I don't know why we're going down this rabbit hole.
I really don't know why.
But here it is. Here it is. I will say this. Believe it or not, on the cases I have that she's doing coverage on, she is nothing but professional. Like the videos I've watched with her and the BRPD and the chief and her going at it, she could not be more professional.
Yeah.
She could not be more professional. Nakamoto, while I don't always approve of Chris's behavior, Chris is pretty professional too.
You don't approve of Chris's behavior. That's another.
When I see a WBRZ van parked outside my office,
right?
I'm like closing the windows. I'm like, is Chris creeping? Like, what's going on? Am I accused of something? I don't know.
No, so we are actually very lucky to have both of them in town because they're both very, very good at what they do.
Yeah,
they are big city investigative journalists right here.
And I have come to terms with the fact, since we're not taking a break.
Oh, wait, are we about to get bumped by Your Money Now? Is that going to take over automatically?
I think it is.
Okay.
But
Well, we're
I have the
20
point
seconds
on.
away.
So
All right.
here's the thing.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about this in the last 5-6 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I've got another topic.
I'm media.
Huh?
Whether I like it or not, legal commentary is media.
Yes, it is.
It's not investigative journalism.
Right.
Media.
Yeah.
When I spew, when I vomit,
Well,
regurgitate
but it
an
can be
opinion.
part of investigative journalism. Hold on. I think your money now is about to
We'll talk
actually
about it.
step all over us.
Spew.
I mean, I don't have the pot on, but
There it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Richard
Because I
Condon
turned
filling
on.
in as a lawyer for Legally Served would be interesting. I think Richard and I could support a show.
Do you want me to
Just like
leave
I
them?
think Jeff Landry and I could
Yeah.
support a show.
I've got another topic I'm going to hit you with by surprise on the way back out.
Okay.
Are we still on YouTube, though?
Mhm.
Okay. But this isn't on YouTube because this isn't through the board. Then we'll keep going.
Well, it's not on. Yeah, that's why I was confused. why
Okay.
you're-
All right. No, well, I didn't want it yeah, my bad. All right. So again, if you're joining us on YouTube because you normally find us on air, welcome aboard. Hit the subscribe button. This is the only outlet for us this morning. He's attorney Franz Borghardt. I'm Brian Haldane. We do this every single week. It's called Legally Served as part of Mornings with Brian Haldane. This is incredibly loud. You ready for a surprise topic?
It's coming. You look at he's grinning. He's excited.
Because we're about to dust off one of our favorite topics of the pandemic.
Okay.
Because our favorite topic of the pandemic is back in the news again.
The pastor?
An outspoken Christian conservative attorney from Alabama has asked a federal appeals court to revive a Louisiana pastor's damage claims against state officials over long expired COVID-19 restrictions. A federal judge this year dismissed Minister Tony Spell's lawsuit against Governor John Bell Edwards and others over enforcement of the ban. Spell drew national attention for his flouting of the restrictions early in the pandemic at his church in Central. One of Spell's attorneys is Roy Moore, the former Alabama Supreme Court justice and Senate candidate. Moore insisted in arguments this week before a panel of judges from the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals that the state had no authority whatsoever to restrict church gatherings. Panel members appeared skeptical of that claim in arguments recorded as they were held Monday in Fort Worth, Texas, but they raised the question of whether Spell's church was unfairly restricted compared with other public gathering places such as shopping mall food courts. Because there's the same thing as like Kung Pao chicken and Christianity. Like, how are these? Anyway, they have treated us differently, Moore said, us meaning whoever he can glom onto. But the basis of our argument is there is no jurisdiction to limit a church attendance.
God has no jurisdiction.
Well, so
smart move. I would do the same thing.
really,
I'm not saying I agree with it. It's a smart move.
Okay.
It keeps him relevant, which look, as an attention seeking slut that I am,
right?
I spot it because I got it.
Yeah, takes one to know one sort of
Takes one-
situation.
Look, lest we not agree that I at least am self-aware. It keeps him relevant, or at least not relevant, but in the mix.
Yeah.
He's got he wants to get to the United States Supreme Court. That is the destination, right? If he can get
Absolutely.
there, he has a conservative court. Maybe that court does something, but I still think, though, that the court's going to say, same topic, right? Religious freedom. What's his damages? Like, is he really
okay,
damaged?
no. Hang on. You've gotten to the crux of it very, very quickly.
Well, the criminal component is his damage.
yeah, but
It's always about the money, right?
and that's why it's dirty.
Well, to be
It's
fair,
under the guise of you're stepping on our First Amendment rights for the free exercise thereof religion, right? We have
Spell's mom is running for Central School Board. So
I can't wait.
So allow me to step back for a second.
yeah,
And I mean this with the utmost intellectual honesty. You should be suspect of anything I'm about to say. The only thing we can do in a civil case, whether it's civil rights, whether it's personal injury, the only thing we can do is ask for money.
Right.
That's the only remedy. Shy of, I want you to stop doing something, or I want you to do something. We call that specific performance.
Yeah.
There is no other remedy. It's not like in a civil suit, he can make Hillar Moore go to jail for prosecuting him. Or he can't make the Central Police Chief who arrested him, was it the police chief or sheriff's office? I don't know which. The summons he got, he can't make them go to jail. So the only thing we can ever do is seek money, which does make us feel kind of dirty, right?
And this is why he needs to let it go. because
He was
What is
never a sympathetic character.
no, I know. Because at a time where everybody had lost their minds, we had all lost our minds, and we wanted to get through it, and we thought it was going to be gotten through in short order because it was pitched to us as 2 weeks to flatten the curve, which should have been pitched as 2 weeks to flatten the curve, but you've got to keep the curve flat after that. But when everybody has to go along to get along for just a little bit, and the restrictions were lifted, they were lifted not too long after that. It was, I mean, we had a couple months. I'm like, my church shut down, every other church shut down, but because his church was shut down, he's now due damages. Well, I tell you what, if we have to pay him damages, I want damages coming back to my church as well.
And
I'd like to build a new parish activity center off of the backs of this.
our church is doing okay. But listen, to be clear, these damages, this is related to the COVID church shutdown and not him almost running over a human being with a bus.
Well,
I had to bring that up.
so again,
Hashtag bus.
his bus assault game is weak.
His heart wasn't in it.
No,
It was more, but an assault is about making you believe I'm going to hit you with a
right.
bus. An assault is not, I'm going to hit you with a bus.
Right. Or I have hit you with a bus, or
I'd like, and I mean this with the utmost sincerity, I'd like to sit down and have a cup of coffee with this dude.
seriously?
I really would. I have, look, I have gone off on this guy. I am not a big fan of his. I want to know, and I always want to know this. There are true believers out there that really believe what they're saying. And they mean it.
Yes.
From their heart.
And is that where we're at here, or are we with
then there's
a
Joel
cynical
Osteen.
salesman? Right.
Yeah,
Right.
we got Joel Osteen.
Right. We swept a doubleheader yesterday, so I'm pretty sure. Do what? Y'all did. No. The Atlanta Braves won the East.
Hester's making
tomahawk
Indian,
chop. Yeah.
insensitive tomahawk
It's all
gestures.
good.
It's
We're coming
Native
for you. Hey,
American.
we're due, buddy. We are due.
It's
Let's
Native
go,
American, not
All right.
Indian.
Do what?
Chris is never going to talk to me again. Chris Hester is never going to talk to me again.
It's all good. Yeah, because you just said Hester and not Jacob. So
He said Chris, not Jacob.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
He
it's
said
I
Hester,
to him.
Jacob.
yeah.
Whatever.
All right.
Yeah.
Good thing.
Did he play football?
No, he played baseball.
No.
Well, we've already established I know about as much about sports as Spell knows about religion.
Okay, let's bring it back around to that, because if you're talking in terms of you want to know, you want to like
I wanna
make
know
him,
that his-
you want to make him say shibboleth. You want to find out how pure his heart is.
No, not even. I want to know the sincerity. Is it
That's what I'm
real?
saying.
That's really what I want to know.
Right.
I am questioning motives. That's what I've always questioned when it comes to this guy. Legal standpoint, like the reason I have trouble calculating his damages is because he's profited off of this.
That's the point, though. What is his job? His job is to save souls. So now we have to put a monetary value on a soul? Now we're getting into some really, really shaky ground.
That's like when
Because-
Jules and Vincent open up the box and it's all
Right.
gold and shiny.
Right, just reach in that bag and find my wallet. It's the one that, never mind. Even though it's YouTube, I'm still not going to say it. So the moment he puts a dollar value on it, the whole thing is tainted and dirty, because you cannot put a dollar value on souls without trivializing the entire faith.
So if he can't get the appellate court to revitalize this issue, he's done, right? Until we get into a shutdown again, which I'm sorry, I believe will happen again in our lifetime. We will be shut down again at some point in the future. I'm not.
You think when Fauci gets a little bit too media starved?
It may not.
Well,
be,
you wouldn't talk about media.
It may not be this pandemic. It may be another pandemic with another virus. It's coming again.
COVID-24, y'all. Get ready.
Variants.
COVID-24. Avery says, what's up with the dead air? I don't know. What is up with that? No, we've had an entire system crash this morning, and we can't even go old school to turn on the board because it's built into the system. So thank you for joining us. Go ahead and subscribe while you're here, please.
I got to tell you.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I've never lived in Central.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious what the people that live in Central, a lot of whom I've met, think about this guy.
And I wonder if that's changed over the time, because his ministry does like feed a lot of lunches to or provide bus service to a lot of school children who can't get to and fro, or at least I assume so because I see those buses out and about. Sometimes they're backing up very slowly towards people, but otherwise they're doing good things with those buses.
He almost killed a guy with a bus.
It's
I need to look up.
Very subjective.
I'm just waiting for
And
the.
his mom's
I'm-
running for school board.
Yeah.
His mom. Look, hold on. I don't know anything about his mother, and I'm not going to talk about a man's mother on the air. That's true. True that.
Hey, Alondra, can you go down and let in my 7:15 guest?
Who's your 7:15 guest, Brian?
Her name is Emily Chenevert. We're talking about running school board races overall.
Some contentious races this time around, huh?
We do. There's some pissed off parents for sure. And by the way, for full disclosure on the backstory here, we could have had an opportunity to speak with Pastor Spell at the height of the pandemic while all this was going on. We had the opportunity to speak with him. I had him set up to come on the show. All things were looking good, and like 2 minutes before we were supposed to go on air, I got big-timed. I got big-footed by Dr. Phil.
I bet you lunch.
He skipped my show to go do Dr. Phil's show.
I will bet you lunch that if you tried to get him on now, he would hop on.
I don't know. I can't get through anymore, and I gave up trying.
Does he have an agent?
I
think he does.
But like
being
by
Optimum
agent, you mean like the guy in the Buick Skylark? You're right.
Churches have marketing PR reps, right?
Yeah.
And I do not.
Churches have communications.
I do
directors.
not. To be clear, for the record, I'm not being tongue in cheek when I say that. A church
has a communications office.
Right.
Yes.
They have to communicate to their their congregants,
Yes.
and churches are in the business. Just because I hate on Olstein doesn't mean that I don't realize that churches need money to exist. They have to have capital.
No, 100%. Yes, but that's when the money becomes more important than the mission.
Well,
the money is used to fund the mission.
You can do great deeds for humanity. Does it corrupt the great deed when you take the great deed and you're like, look at me, I'm doing a great deed?
1,000%. Yes,
to
it does.
The person you're doing the great deed to, it doesn't diminish it 1 cent. To the person, to the rest of the world, we view it and we're like, eh. So,
all right.
Anyways, Go Rouge this week, maybe.
Maybe I'm struggling, man. I'm trying to find somebody.
If we need to bump it, it's cool.
Okay.
I've got.
We could go back to
not be his producer.
No.
I thought you were going to brew.
Oh yeah.
So brew Baton Rouge Entrepreneur Week.
No, brew at the zoo.
Oh, that's a beer event. That's a beer event. Which is actually
if you'd
a wonderful Baton Rouge Zoo event.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I've already. We'll bump it.
Okay.
I got fish.
Well, we used to do this thing where we recorded earlier in the day, and then when the opportunity to from time to time do it in real time popped up, we've never gone back from that. So that's still on the table if we want.
I like what you're slinging and cooking here.
I mean, we can back up to like.
So before I let your next wonderful guest come on, I will say this: my life is in transit right now. Moving house. If you've ever moved.
I've moved.
I got to tell you, I hadn't moved in a while.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I moved by myself.
It's sucky.
Hey, you got 2 seconds for a quick story?
Yeah.
I moved 11 years ago. We moved from Old Jefferson to Sherwood. And we were moving on a Saturday morning. And I was planning on getting started at like 8 o'clock in the morning. And let me tell you what a good guy that works down the hall, how great of a guy this is. I didn't ask for help. I didn't ask anybody at work for help. But 6:30 on Saturday morning, an hour and a half before we were slated to get started. Haldane! Where you at? Richard Condon at my front door. Let's go. Let's pack that truck. Let's go.
He helped you out?
Oh, I didn't even ask him, and there he was.
I bet.
That is why that's
so,
he's a
so
great
we go
man.
at it sometimes, but I'm willing to bet money that if I asked Condon to help me move some stuff,
He would.
he would.
He would be there.
Maybe sell me some furniture.
He would be
But,
there. He doesn't sell furniture.
Do we have a good
the wood that makes the
do we have
furniture.
a lead on couches? Somebody who sells couches? Because I could use a couch. Used,
yeah, I've got a guy.
Used. Okay.
I got a guy.
So
we'll get to it.
So let me say this.
Yeah.
the parts about the move that I love. I've got like internet now. I've got my furniture there. All the big.
There's no internet in Mid City.
Man, I love. Listen, I love Mid City.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely. Let me say this again. I own property in Mid City. I love Mid City.
Yeah.
My move from Mid City was all about
Not getting shot.
It wasn't about not getting shot. Sincerely, it was all about I wanted more space.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to the point for me where I was like, I could try to get a house on Capitol Heights that was like a 3 and 2.
Yeah.
Or I could get a house a little bit further out that was significantly bigger for the same value.
Yeah.
And it was just, do I mind driving in the morning? Yeah, I do. I don't mind. I
Yeah.
don't mind at all. So I'm to the point where I have internet.
Yeah.
I have my furnitures. I have TVs. Some guys put some TVs up for me. I have TVs. I got everything. The only thing I need, shout out to Mitch from BR Mattress.
Yep.
My mattress is coming in, made to order. I'm very excited. Once I get my bed,
Yeah.
everything will be right with the world. Hook me up with your couch guy.
Okay.
Talk to you guys later.
We're on it. Later, brother. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming in. And thanks to the YouTube audience for participating as well. We can't do top stories and trending because all the audio is in. Do we want to do top stories and trending? No. I'm there's really the top stories this morning have been let's see, I could do them in 2 sentences apiece. We don't even need to waste our time with this. Hundreds of schools to install panic buttons in classrooms. The little blue boxes are on the way to schools, which, by the way, if you've never seen the little blue boxes before, they're a phenomenal resource. It's basically just like a fire alarm, but it gets you in contact with police. They've been this was a project that I want to say was started by former Chief LaDuff. Interesting side story. We have the little blue boxes in our school, but we also have it in our church. And at the beginning of the pandemic, when the hand sanitizer was all over the place, somebody went to get hand sanitizer and pulled the alarm.
Yeah.
And I mean, cops just crashed all over church because he was sanitizing his hands.
Yeah.
Or because the response works. Oh, I thought you were talking about like the personal hygiene was a good thing. Yeah. It was good that you were sanitizing and good that we saw police response. Oh, hey, I will do this one. 6 people were arrested during a federal investigation into a firearm and drug trafficking scheme based right here in East Baton Rouge Parish. The investigation found these 6 individuals were distributing large quantities of cocaine and heroin, according to the U.S. Department of Justice. Detectives also seized over $250,000 worth of illegal drug proceeds, drug proceeds. Why not just say cash? Or were they working on trade? Was it like there's a pen full of goats over there? What luxury vehicles and firearms from the site? Federal agents arrested Francisco Palma, Marco Filos, Juan Villarreal.
Whoa.
You know him?
No.
You gonna see him at the family reunion? Okay.
He's in jail.
Well, yeah, no, true. Well, you know a lawyer. Juan might be available for the friends and family discount. Yeah. Richard Antunes, Clarence Anderson, and Brittany Allison on drug, firearm, and fraud-related charges. Well, the last 2 didn't. Clarence Anderson isn't very Hispanic, and neither is Brittany. Not a whole lot of Hispanic Brittnys out there. You do? Brittany Allison? All right. An LSU Foundation employee was caught with child porn after deputies uncovered disturbing online messages.
Disgusting.
Yeah, 2 people were shot near the corner of Airline Highway and McClellan Drive.
0.
Do what?
We gotta set it back to 0.
Oh, that's right. What were we at? 6, 5?
I think we were at it was
Thursday till
Thursday to yesterday.
Yeah, Thursday till yesterday without shootings in the news. And then the top story that we had was, give me 1 second, I'll get on it. Feds say an upscale home on East Lakeshore Drive was the center of a massive drug ring. Getting this one from WBRZ, like we get most of them from WBRZ. From the outside, the home on East Lakeshore Drive appeared to be nothing more than another upscale address that fronted University Lake. Inside, though, was a different story. Hundreds of thousands of dollars were stashed in vents and hidden inside of columns. Very, very Sopranos,
Very.
right? Right? Yeah, the AK is up in the air conditioner vent. Guns of all shapes and sizes were placed through the home, all in an effort to protect the cash. The money was collected over several years as the occupants ran a drug ring that apparently operated from the home. There's a 22-count indictment that was recently unsealed. The U.S. Attorney's Office announced half a dozen arrests for various charges. This is the same. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the same story. It's just the additional part of this is that it was on East Lake Shore, which kind of a shocker. Anyway, those were your top stories. Here's a look at what's trending this morning. Have we had the alligator shark rule yet this week?
No. Yeah.
Okay. Surprising in the wake of a hurricane that we haven't had the alligator part of the alligator shark rule. Well, today we do. Alligators and snakes are swarming around Florida homes that have been made unlivable by Hurricane Ian, a local fire official said. The hurricane, which made landfall as a ferocious Category 4 in southwest Florida last week, damaged every home on the Sunshine State's barrier island of Sanibel. Sanibel Fire Chief William Briscoe told CNN in a report published on Tuesday, there are a lot of places that are not livable. There are places off their foundation. It's very dangerous out there. He added, there are alligators running around and snakes all over the place. I know. Well, I mean, it's Florida. I saw a TikTok the other day of a dude sitting in a lawn chair in the middle of a flooded road, talking about 1.5 feet worth of water over the top of the road. So, like, you know, Florida man, totally. He's sitting in the lawn chair in the middle of the road, and about 15 feet away is the creeping, low floating alligator. And it was like him, like tennis match coverage between the alligator and him, just slowly creeping. Unfortunately, the TikTok ended before it came to a full head. Yeah, I probably should have followed that account. Top Stories and Trending is presented by St. James Place. If you're approaching the retirement phase of your life, if you're looking at opening up that chapter, I highly recommend checking out St. James Place. Call them at 215-4500 or check them out online at stjamesplace.org. Don't buy into the myths about, oh, it's just a nursing home. No, it's an all-inclusive life plan community. They'll have nursing care when you need it, but the independent living is fantastic. The social calendar is fantastic. The everything about that place, it's on the corner of Lee and Highland. Gorgeous campus. Go check them out. And yeah, like I said, they will have nursing care when you need it, but
does you two want a quick weather report or no?
They're here for you before that as well. Yeah, why not? Let's catch a weather report.
All right.
Good morning. There's a little extra humidity in the air today, but it will still be quite comfortable through the afternoon hours. Temperatures will max out in the mid-80s today with just a few clouds. We will not see any rain. Tonight, temperatures will fall into the 60s. A little more humidity will fill in on Thursday and Friday before the next cold front comes through to dry things out over the weekend. Those overnight temperatures will be back down in the 50s by the time you wake up on Saturday morning. I'm meteorologist Marissa Nuzzo in the WBRZ Weather Center.
All right.
I'll do it anyway.
Is weather over with?
Yeah.
Okay, that was fast. I mean, that's an hour and 12 without a breath, basically. Election time is almost upon us. The season is here, to be sure. And on the ballot this fall will be a number of school board races. Joining me now from Moms for Liberty is Emily Chenevert. Good morning. Welcome to Talk West with Three. How are you?
Doing good, and you? Well, I think we've been down that road.
It's a bit of the struggle bus this morning, but we're getting through.
Yeah.
So Moms for Liberty EBR. Tell me all about this. How did y'all get together, and what is your mission?
Great question. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited to be able to talk about this today. Moms for Liberty, I am basically the chair of the East Baton Rouge chapter. And I say that because I do not speak on behalf of the national organization of Moms for Liberty. There is a national.
Okay.
And so, but I do want to share kind of how it got started. There was two moms really that were school board members in Florida, and about a year and a half ago, and they saw some things going on behind the education curtain, and they didn't really like what they saw.
Okay.
And so they basically said, we've got to do something and encourage parents and encourage people to engage and we want to let them know what's happening in the education system in the United States. So they decided to just start. We're just going to start a group, and they gathered some moms and some people, and it really kind of blossomed since then. Over a year and a half later, there's chapters across like 34 states, over 100,000 members. We're talking around 200 chapters. And so I had talked to a lot of parents during COVID. You know, a lot of people went through a whole lot within schools in COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I think it just kind of highlighted some things. Parents were concerned about things being taken away from them as rights. And so I was listening to some of this, and people were messaging me. We're all talking. And it got to the point where I started to research what was out there, and that's when I found Moms for Liberty.
Okay, let's start with this. What things did they see behind the curtain that they didn't like?
Some of the things they saw was some things with curriculum that I understand. Just a lot of it dealt with COVID as well. It was some things of just some masking, shutting down schools. Parents are concerned about that. Again, I can't speak on behalf of exactly what they saw, but that's what they've communicated to all of us as chapters, right? Chapter chairs across the nation that says, we are seeing some things behind the scenes that coming in schools that are parents aware? We don't know if they are. And so we just want to rally parents and do it joyfully. We call ourselves joyful warriors. We're not out to attack anybody.
Right.
We just think that parents and their involvement in their child's education is critical.
So I'm probably more concerned about the curriculum than the masking in, because that was all a phase. Like that was
right.
We learned very quickly that virtual learning could suffice for a minute, but was not good overall.
Right.
And then the popular move after that would be to have masks on just to get them back physically in the classroom. I don't know if any schools are still on the mask thing. So I feel like that's a temporary thing.
It was.
And we've learned so much through it that I don't think we're going to go back to it.
No, and
but
I
the
think
curriculum thing.
Correct. And I think when something happens, I feel like it causes people to kind of look up. And I think that's kind of what COVID did, right?
Okay.
It caused people to rally together and say, okay, what if this stuff happens again? Okay, we're seeing a little bit of overreach of government. Where's the line of what the school system has the rights to do and what parents have the rights to do, right? And so within curriculums, and again, we're just getting started in East Baton Rouge Parish, and we are a new chapter. We're the only chapter in Louisiana. I would love to help chapters get started all across the state. But it's really looking into what are some of the things are we looking at within history? I will say, not just history, everything in the background of like how people like what's in the school systems. But we have a really good state superintendent that is very involved. Of like he likes Moms for Liberty. He sent a letter to National. I'll let you know about that back in August. Kind of so just hey, we like what you're doing. We like that you're kind of a watchdog. We like that you're keeping accountability of what's going on behind the scenes. Some of the things of where there are some chapter chairs around the nation. Right now we're dealing with gender identity within school systems, where our school system's going to let parents know if a child wants to go by a different pronoun based on their biological sex. They have had some of that happen across the nation where they have not told the parent, and they're calling the child a different pronoun, not letting the parents know.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were thinking, or I thought you were saying in terms of so that the parents could let their kids know to refer to the other kid as the proper pronoun. You're saying the kid themselves, that child's parents don't know what gender they've adopted.
Correct. And I'm saying these are some of the issues that we're seeing. And so am I saying that I know that's happening in EBR? No, I'm not saying that. But what I believe is you've got to kind of see the writing on the wall a little bit about, I think, as a nation, right? And I'm big on being proactive. So you don't wait until some of the worst things are here. I think you say, hey, we see some of this. Let's rally together and let's make sure we don't see this in our school system.
Well, we saw a little bit of this during the last legislative session with the Protecting Women's Sports bill, and the governor's take was this is a solution without a problem because it's not happening here yet.
Correct.
And then you have, a swimmer for, was it Penn State? What became a name and face to that issue very, very quickly.
Correct.
So this is proactive in that regard for sure.
Our own Dr. Kay Brumley had a response to the federal Title IX guidance documents. And this is what I brought actually today to talk about a little bit, is that the Department of Education is considering changes to Title IX. They had a time where you could do public comment, and they all had all that. And he basically came out saying, hey, just so you know, that Louisiana Department of Education does not, his words, does not agree with the proposed changes, nor do we recognize USDOE's or the USDA's guidance documents about these issues about Title IX. And that would really adjust some things within school systems. So you kind of have to have...
we're on air now.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Hey, then let's reset. Okay. This is great. I wasn't expecting this. Not that anybody's like sitting there tuned in. We've been off for an hour or 3 hours now. So, good morning. Welcome to Mornings with Brian Haldane. Brian here with you, Alondra producing. Happy Wednesday, everybody. If you are already listening on air, thank you for being there when it was just dead air for quite some time. We have been proceeding with the show as planned over on our YouTube channel. So if you've joined us on YouTube, hey, stay there. It's a lot of fun, and subscribe. But if you are not on YouTube and are listening on air, I am joined right now in studio by Emily Chenevert with Moms for Liberty EBR. Now, we're not going to go back and recap the last 6 minutes of this interview just to start over again. But what we are going to do is pick up where we were. So I apologize for interrupting, but since we now have
Totally fine,
we now
Brian.
have the airwaves at our
Absolutely.
disposal, let's
Great.
go ahead.
Absolutely. So anyway, we just want to make sure that we just are a voice. We are for people, for parents, and that the big thing and big mission is that we basically have a desire to stand up for parental rights at all levels of government. Really.
Okay. So I'm going to have a couple of questions that are going to sound a little more. I send my kids to Catholic school. My wife and I believe in a Catholic education. But in making that choice and making that sacrifice, we have adopted more of that ownership role because we've taken them out of public school. How much do you have to give up in order to go to public school because you're in school with a number of different people with a number of different beliefs from a number of different backgrounds? It's got to be a lot more widespread. So how do you work that balance?
I think it's a great question. I will say I'm a product of Louisiana public school. I spent half of my years in Vernon Parish, Leesville, Louisiana, graduated from Leesville High School, and the other half of my years here in the great city of Baton Rouge. I think times have shifted a little bit. We're seeing within government overreach of what is allowed and not. But I will say this, as far as giving things up, and when you're asking about that, I just think for parents, as an organization, we're big on parental choice. And what works for the child, right?
Yes.
I do think in communities where there is private school, I think that a strong public school system benefits everybody, right?
Yes.
So that's one thing as far as giving things up. I think you've got to know your child. Hey, are there some things that are just non-negotiables for you, where you pull them out and you put them in school, right? I know for us, we are a faith-based home. For us personally, we do a lot of that investment into us, as my husband and I. And I do think that, my kids are at a great public charter school here in East Baton Rouge Parish.
Yeah.
So I just think that overall, when it comes to our organization too here in EBR, it's really encouraging parents, pay attention, what works for you, and just that choice for you in the community. I don't know if that answers your question completely, but I'm just trying to,
somewhat. Because the answer is a lot tougher and a lot more issue based. It's got to come up issue by issue.
It is issue by issue.
Because how do you work that balance while remaining inclusive? It's a tough walk, to be sure.
It's a tough walk. It is a tough walk. I just think that what's hard is I think we always have to think about what's better. I know for children, and I think there's some right now there is some sexual identity issues coming into schools. I think that's parents. I just don't think we need to put the burden on teachers, and we don't need to be talking about a lot of that in the school system, right? And that's hard. Teachers are doing my mom was a teacher, and so I think teachers they're amazing.
Yes.
And I think that they have a hard job, right now. And so we just want to say, hey, let them do what they do best. Let's teach, but let's keep some of these other ideologies that make it more difficult for the innocent minds of children to deal with. They're so young.
Well, and so the youth part is a big part of this because that message changes year to year, or elementary to middle to junior high to high. Like as they get older, there's more they grasp and understand. So there's more you can introduce them to at home before they get to school.
Correct.
So, and the hard part there is when you're vilified just for saying you would like to teach your kids as well.
Correct.
And that's, and this is like, to say, I'm a parent, I would like to have a role. I don't want you unteaching what I've already taught. And there are certain things, that we would like handled at home before they get to school. On that list, you will not find English or math. You will not find science or so. Well, you might find a little social studies, but like on that list, the general topics that they go to school for are, yes, this is where you need to be teaching them.
Correct.
I want more math, more science.
Correct.
Let's back away from the other end.
To simplify that a little bit, I always tell my husband, I have these conversations, and I tell him all the time, I was like, I like things that we teach at school, from my perspective, hey, 2 + 2 = 4 at school, 2 + 2 = 4 at my home.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
And so those are some of the things. But when you get into some of the hearts and the minds and the development of whether different families have different religious backgrounds, different families, some of that stuff is hard, right, within the public school system. But I just think that we got to make sure that some of the things that is a parental rights, a parental's responsibility, a parent's responsibility, let that be the parent. There are other things that are should not be the government, and should not be the school's responsibility. And I do think there's teachers that believe that, and there's amazing principals in our parish, and amazing assistant principals, and great school board members, that feel that. I just think that we need more parents just to kind of engage with them in a kind. You can be direct, but you can still be kind.
No, no,
Right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's one more on what other curriculum issues are there before we get to the other part we have to talk about.
As far as I always like to again speak in East Baton Rouge Parish. I don't want to. There's being so kind of engaging within this like these last few months. We're going to be kind of looking into some of that, right? What are some things that are concerning that maybe some other chapters have found? What are some things that is there anything within the sexuality, sex ed? I will say, from what I understand, and anyone listening, they can shoot me an email if this is wrong. But we still kind of are underneath from a legislative standpoint, from what I understand, still under like an abstinence type education. We want to make sure that the national sex ed standards do not come here. That's a whole nother show.
Yeah.
Say that. And so those are some issues that across the nation that some of the chapter chairs are looking at. That is a massive thing because you begin to really start to teach a totally different version of sex ed that has been taught in the state for years. So am I saying that's happening? And because I don't want to attack anything right now, obviously, right? That's not our heart. But that's the kind of stuff we're here for, right? We want to say we don't want some of that coming in the public school system. We don't want certain things. I will say, we have some really great social studies standards that were just passed that was a phenomenal work between
because that's a dangerous road to walk when you talk about our nation has a dirty history. We've done a lot of wrong stuff in the past.
Absolutely.
How do you teach that history without vilifying the current generation? How do you teach that without making a fifth grader feel like he's evil?
And that's the thing, because I think it all has to be taught.
Yeah.
It all has to be taught. It's not about saying we don't want to teach hey, we need to stop teaching these things. That is not that should never be done, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we've got to make sure that exactly what you just said. And so it's done in a way. And so our current social studies standards that were recently passed, I'm telling you, it was great work efforts by some state representatives and some family members and some amazing people in the academia world and nonprofits that worked on these standards. And then, and Dr. Kay Brumley, who did a great job with that. So, when you have a good set of standards, now you find the curriculum to support those standards.
Right. That's
a huge win for our state,
So next up would be when a group like y'all's pops up, and y'all are doing this the right way. So normally when a group like y'all's pops up, it turns into just an angry mob at a school board meeting, or it turns into a protest, or it turns into anything that's not taking proactive action. Y'all are here looking towards the next round of school board elections, which would be the right avenue. So what's next on that front?
Yes. So the school board, we know school board elections are coming up this year. We are having a school board candidate forum on Monday, the 10th of October. That's going to be at the Jones Creek Library. We have invited all candidates. We have gotten a great response. All different types of candidates have responded saying they're attending. Mm-hmm. I think we're actually at 9 right now. Okay. We are still receiving responses that are saying, hey, I'm trying to rearrange my schedule. Thank you so much for the invite. Those that have not, that said maybe they couldn't come, hey, thank you so much for hosting this. So that's a big win, I feel like, because anytime you can get candidates in front of parents and the community and business leaders, because I do think the business leaders care about strong community and school systems.
Well, they ought to if they want good employees one day.
Right, because when families and young families are looking for somewhere to put their children and how they're going to start their family, they're going to look at where the strong school systems are, obviously. So that's happening Monday, and so we're excited to host that. We also have some good groups that are doing that with us. Baton Rouge Chamber of Commerce. We have, I feel like I'm going to drop someone's name, but we have Citizens for New Louisiana, LACAG. We have Parent Choice Louisiana, Louisiana Education Alliance, and we have Health Freedom Louisiana. So we've got some groups that are like, hey, we think this is awesome for you guys to do this, right? And so we're going to try to do like a little coffee meet and greet from 5:30 to 6, kind of before, and then do a forum from 6 to 8 at the Jones Creek Library. And so if that's a positive thing, we want to come in and invite people, kind of like, and we gave out free constitutions to all 8th graders in East Baton Rouge Parish for Constitution Day. So we want to engage with people on freedom and ideas of liberty, and that's not partisan. Everyone loves to be free, and everyone should love liberty, right?
Completely agree. Forum is from 6 to 8.
Yes.
What's on the agenda? And well, let me re-ask this. How does one help participate in creating the agenda? Is this going to be like an open town hall where questions come in?
So, yes.
Live ammo, or is this you have to submit questions ahead of time sort of thing?
We're going to kind of shape some questions to get the conversation going. We're still finalizing a lot of that this week. But we want the community and those sitting in the room, we're going to lay down some ground rules. Hey, let's be nice. Let's be kind. Let's,
yes, no, absolutely.
Obviously, that's so important for me. I'm big on dialogue and communication and how we do that, right? And so, but yeah, ask questions. We want people to come to the forum. Are there any concerns in the school board, right? Any concerns that you've seen this year? What were some things you would love to see happen? Where do the candidates stand on the parents' role in education, right? What do they think about that? Just get people thinking about some of the things that our organization cares about, but it's not just about what our questions are. We want the community to be able to come and share and ask questions that they find that's also valid to them.
6 to 8 p.m. I don't know if this will be enough time. Is there going to be
right?
more slated before Election Day?
We'll see. I mean, we're gonna. Election Day's creeping up. We're also trying to we want to do it early enough to where we could kind of go through and think through. And if Moms for Liberty could have the opportunity to maybe endorse some candidates and say, hey, we believe that they're parental rights advocates, right, for parents. So we'll see.
All right. Well, here's the thing. Let's get you back on again before Election Day.
Okay.
Maybe a full segment on air next time with a built-in audience.
I'm here for it. Here for it.
No, I appreciate a couple minutes of your time this morning, and yeah, we'll circle back after this one's done and see what's next. Okay. She is Emily Chenevert with Moms for Liberty EBR. Thank you so much. We've got CBS News coming your way in just a little bit. I believe we'll have our own local news after that. I don't know if we have access yet to traffic. If we do not, I was going to say we just drag Taylor down here. I mean, he's right across the hallway. Wouldn't be hard. But we'll have weather as well. And then I believe Congressman Graves is still slated to join us for DC Current coming up next. It's been a work in progress this morning, y'all. I appreciate everybody who's hopped on YouTube throughout the morning. Yes, the live airwaves are available for you, but if you're on YouTube, just stay, hang out. We're having fun. But let's get you to CBS News on the air right now on Talk 107.3 FM, the new flavor of talk in Baton Rouge. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry that normally if you 7:15, you're coming in right after the top of the hour, top stories and trending and whatnot. This, like the fact that we had a YouTube outlet is fantastic, but that's like the most segment of the show. So we'll circle back and do it again.
That'd be awesome before. And I text Renee Amar. She's been on here for a week.
Yeah.
I actually called your radio station when you had her. I was the woman that called whenever she talked about Louisiana Women Lead.
Fantastic.
I'm the woman that called you. I texted Renee this morning that you were.
Well, I hope she was able to hear it. I need to get her on. Louisiana Women Lead needs to. I'm sure they've already done the background stuff, but we can talk about who's on the ballot. She is. Do what? Oh, thank you. How I wanted to do what?
Like I said, do you just want me to do CBS News, traffic, weather, spots?
Okay, so that's up to you. Yeah, that's where producer comes in. You direct me at that point because you're going to have more intel because I'm doing the show live. You're going to have more intel from Bo from where we are at any given particular time, particular given time.
That's what my plan was. I just wanted to make sure everything.
It's all good. Oh, wow. I am friggin' winded. By the way, she runs at my speed. That was like, good Lord, I can't keep up with that. I'm supposed to be the fast one. Yeah, that's fine. Let's get him over here. Did you snap a picture while she was in or while Franz was in? No worries. Not like there's 18 other things going on. Oh, snap diddles. Debbie says if Congressman Graves comes on, please ask him his position on putting a chemical plant in the middle of a lake and breeding ground for shrimp. That's a disingenuous description of what's happening, but I mean, they're not putting the chemical plant in the lake. They're storing CO2 under the lake. I've got Greg Bowser from the Louisiana Chemical Association coming on next hour to talk about it from their end, and I want to talk to him first, and then we're going to talk to scientists after. Oh. All right, time for a look at your traffic, and with all the confusion and problems we've had throughout the morning, figured why not just drag Taylor across the hallway?
Oh, I'm here. What a
you
treat.
were here, I know.
No, there's not a lot going on right now, which is good because we don't have proper ways to report it this morning. But there's one accident out there right now. It just occurred, Perkins Road at PQ Lane. It's partially blocking that right lane of travel. No major delays right now, though. Slow go of things on I-12, though. Almost 45 minutes, Jubin to the split. But I-10 looks pretty good. 20 minutes Highland to the bridge.
All right, 10 looking good, 12 backed up. Taylor, appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.
That was your Shaw Bills Tire traffic report. We still don't have commercials, so let's get the weather. Here's Marissa Nuzzo. Yes, please. Can you play a bump for about 7 minutes? I'm tired. WEP GPO vote. Okay, I can get those in for sure. And the jack is all jacked up. No. It's the jack. It's not me. 7:36. Talk 107.3 FM WPRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane continues. I was told I stay rolling right along too much. I don't care. It's what I say. I do care. I take feedback. This has been a marathon already. We're only an hour and a half in. We got an hour and a half to go. Congressman Garret Graves slated to join us in just a little bit. Welcome aboard on the air. I thank you for tuning in. I know a big chunk of the morning was spent with just silence and then like random CBS reports out of nowhere. We've been having major, and I mean major, technical issues in the studio this morning. Our entire system is still down. I don't know how we got a live board back.
I have no hotkeys.
Yeah.
I can't play any sound.
Yeah. Well, we have the.
Well, I have the computer and
Right.
all that, but I don't have like the hotkeys.
All the normal things you would hear, all the bells and whistles, all the intros and everything.
I mean, I could do a little.
Kaputs. Let's not.
And now.
No, let's not.
It's time for the outside in.
Yeah. So that's coming up in the next segment. Oh, goodness gracious. How good was Emily last segment? That was awesome. That was fun. That's we covered a lot of ground. I mean, even before we got back up on air. By the way, thank you to everybody who moved over to YouTube, made the shift over to YouTube this morning. How'd you like the experience? Let me know on YouTube. How'd you like the experience? It was a little bit different. I mean, we're just going and going and going, and that's what it's like every morning on YouTube. Although I will say, not at that frenetic pace most days. But I appreciate y'all hopping on over there, and to the folks that subscribed this morning, thanks for that as well. We got Congressman Garret Graves hopping on board here right now. We call it DC Current. We do it every single Wednesday. Congressman Graves, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing great. How about you?
It's been a morning. We've had a number of technical difficulties, but as far as I know, we are live on the air. We are live on YouTube, so we're good to go everywhere.
Either that or you and I are just having a conversation, right?
Yeah, one of the two. I mean, we can record it for later playback if needed as well. So, no, I appreciate you hopping on board this morning. Hey, there's a number of different questions already hopping in on YouTube, but I've got to start with what's going on with the, I believe, CO2 under Lake Maurepas. How much have you been following that, and what's your take on it?
Yeah, so, this one, gosh, it's been amazing, just all the attention that project's been getting. It just seems like that there was this thing kind of popped up by surprise for so many people, and this is why it's so important that you have public participation processes, that you give the public an opportunity to learn about what's going on, to provide their feedback, keeping in mind at the end of the day that these are public resources that the public needs to be able to weigh in on. And so, my take is that I think that they need to continue to make sure that they get out there and educate people, that they hear from the public about concerns that are raised, that they continue to do testing to determine if these projects are actually viable and safe, addressing the concerns that have been raised over and over again in the public. We've been in touch with the EPA on this, making sure that nothing is approved until all of the appropriate public participation, testing, things like that are done, questions from the public are answered, and if that's not able to be done appropriately, then this obviously should not move forward.
Okay, so how much does science matter versus perception?
Well, look, I think that you have a public participation process, Brian, and that process is designed to bring things to the forefront. And I will tell you, having participated in these many times, it is often a blessing to have public participation, because bringing in new perspectives, oftentimes people will raise things and you're like, gosh, you know what? I never thought about that. Or actually helping to bring ideas to the table that result in better solutions. You recall I used to do hurricane protection levees and flood control projects and restoring the coast. And oftentimes through the public participation process, people would bring up ideas of solutions, and you'd be like, gosh, that's actually really, really good. And so it allows you to develop better solutions or not move forward with projects that aren't ready for prime time.
We're talking with Congressman Garret Graves. We call it DC Current. We do it every Wednesday at this time. Congressman, I'm going to shift gears here and move over to another question from our YouTube audience. It says, can we get an update on the WEP GPO vote?
Yeah. So what's going on there? Of course, that's the issue for public employees, whether you're a police officer, teacher, firefighter, or others, that actually are getting a chunk taken out of your Social Security benefits, or your spouse is getting a chunk taken out. So we have a bill to fix that. We've got, at this point, about 305 co-sponsors on the bill. We thought we'd gotten to the point to where this bill was going to be forced for a vote before the House, only to have kind of the rug yanked out from under us, to where they were able to basically prevent the bill from moving forward. So we now are in a kind of a gamesmanship now, where we have filed a discharge petition trying to force this bill for a vote before the House. If we can get 218 signatures on that discharge petition, this bill will go for a vote before the House. I remind you, we have 305 co-sponsors, so if we can get 218 of those to sign on, we'll force it that way. The other thing is more recently, the leaders of the Tax Writing Committee, the Ways and Means Committee, committed to trying to find a solution to this before the end of the year. So we're kind of working multiple tracks. We're going to keep the maximum pressure campaign on and try and get this issue solved for folks that have been stuck for 40 years now in this quandary.
You have 305 co-sponsors, and you said you need 218 votes. So that would mean
218 signatures.
Signatures, okay. So 97 people who co-sponsored would have to not sign?
That's right.
Just trying to weigh the odds there. Just trying to weigh the odds.
So we should be in good shape. The only problem is this is kind of thumbing your nose at the leadership of the House. Yeah. And so some people are going to be hesitant to do it. Of course, I'm not. We signed it right away. In filing this thing, but we've got to make sure that we get these other folks on board as well.
The Atlanta Falcons.
Your amendments that remove the hardship criteria for the 2016 flood victims to be able to receive the dedicated funds.
Yeah, that's another really important issue. So reminding you back to the 2016 flood, we had a number of people that were banned or deemed ineligible for grant funding to restore their homes, and just trying to recover, despite the fact that we had secured $1.7 billion with only $700 million of it actually going to homeowners. So therefore, potentially having $1 billion left. we were able to change the law and make about 80% of that group of people eligible, so they were able to get assistance. We still have about 20% that are blocked right now. We have stuck this solution, this amendment, in 3 different bills. 2 of them have passed the House. 1 of them has passed committee. And so at this point, it is in the Senate's hands. I have been in touch with our senators on this, and Senator Cassidy and I have been talking and texting back and forth. But the most viable option we have to get this solved is on the defense authorization bill, where it passed with a strong margin through the House. And that's a must-pass bill by the end of the year.
We have got Congressman Garret Graves with us for DC Current. Speaking of grant funding, your office announced on Monday a $1,050,000 grant for the Port of Baton Rouge, the 7th installment of the Marine Highway Grant. Tell me more about this and what it's going to do here in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, Brian. So this is this effort everywhere from the Gulf of Mexico on up to St. Louis or even farther north, and it's taking these steel containers that are shipping containers, and it's putting them on a barge. And so what this does is it helps to relieve congestion on I-10, congestion on I-12, and other interstates and highways by using the Mississippi River as a, quote, marine highway. So this is the 7th grant that we've helped secure for this project. It is Port of Baton Rouge, Port of New Orleans, and a number of other partners are all involved in this thing, but it's all about trying to maximize and build upon this concept of a marine highway, helping with congestion and raising the profile and business of Louisiana ports.
Let's dovetail that into what's going on in the river right now. It's apparently pretty low enough to where it's affecting the number of barges or the amount that barges can hold, and just the overall income and outgo of the inventory being used at the ports is being affected right now. What can be done to help stabilize that to where we're not so subject to, I don't want to say not subject to Mother Nature because that's unavoidable, but are there workarounds there?
Yeah. So, Brian, this is really amazing. I mean, most people don't realize we spend about $200 and maybe $10 million a year dredging the Mississippi River between Baton Rouge and the Gulf of Mexico every year, dredging it out. And in some years, as you know, we've got water coming out of our ears. It's crusting near the tops of the levees, and we're all holding our breath. And in other years or in other parts of the year, you have these low water situations. And so you've got a couple of different solutions there. Number one is trying to be more consistent, and this is the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, more consistent about keeping the river dredged, having sort of a maintenance contract in place to have dredgers come out and clean the river out, remove the sediment anytime it gets too shallow. Secondly, is doing a better job managing the water in the upper Mississippi River system. So I'm talking from Minnesota down. Don't do these surges to where you dump all this water on Louisiana every spring. We're sitting here, again, holding our breath, trying to manage water from 2/3 of the continental United States coming down through our one state. And instead, develop a better system of reservoirs and locks to where we can hold the water back and let it out more consistently. We do have a provision that we've signed into law. We've secured funding for the Corps of Engineers to develop a better water management system on the entire Mississippi River. So that should be moving forward sometime in the next few months.
Got less than 2 minutes left with Congressman Garret Graves. Want to touch on one more, and that's about $13.4 million coming our way for local and state law enforcement. What brought this together?
Look, there's no secret that we've got a major crime problem in the state. You've seen some of the numbers. New Orleans being the murder capital, Baton Rouge having problems, and really all over the state. This is something that even rural areas haven't escaped. So we've been working with our law enforcement, working with DA Hillar Moore, working with the Sheriff Sid Gotro and the other sheriffs in the region, working with Chief Paul and others, trying to address some of the needs. And one of the biggest ones you and I have talked about is this backlog of DNA evidence. Here you have evidence that law enforcement's collected, yet the state crime lab has a 1-year backlog processing the evidence. It leaves criminals out on the street and leaves our community less safe. So we've secured funds for rapid DNA technology and other law enforcement solutions, but we're going to continue meeting with the DA and law enforcement leaders to make sure that we address this problem and take our community back.
He is Congressman Garret Graves, joins us every Wednesday for DC Current. Congressman, we always appreciate the time, sir. Thanks,
Brian. Have a good day.
You do the same. Oh, covered a lot of ground in that one. And thanks to the folks posting up the questions on YouTube. I hope I did them justice. I know the phrasing of them was a little bit different on YouTube than the way I presented it, but I think we got to the crux of it there. We're going to break here in just a second. We're going to take a break for Your Money Now. Again, you're not going to hear commercials on the back end of the break because the system is still entirely down. So it'll be a check of Your Money Now and then a check of traffic, and then we're right back at it. We're going to do the outside in coming up in our next segment. Right here on Talk 107.3 FM. You're listening to Mornings with Brian Haldane. Stick around. It's a lot. I left this one on the table because we ran out of time, or as I looked at the clock, we didn't have enough time. Biden administration announces $841 million grant, or $841 million in Corps of Engineers projects. Nearly half goes to just 2 politically important states. And we're not politically important. Nor will we ever be. I need more water. So if we are still not up and running on YouTube by the time we're off the air, Fox News, the Fox channel, there's a pot in the board for it. So if the board stays live, you can pot up CBS and pot up Fox and not have to worry about wide orbit at all. Just leave those 2 up and on in program 1. Move us over to 2 so I can record my 9:30 interview, which I have not yet prepped for. I just saw the word Scientology and my eyes lit up. Yeah, it should. And if we're not back up by the time Dave Ramsey comes on, we can move it over to Ramsey and sure. Thank her. Paul says it was 5 days without a shooting. But he's saying it on yesterday's show. Oh, no, that's today's. Sorry. I'm just way behind. I didn't place a single bet last night. Did not bet on baseball. Took a look at my winnings from the weekend and said, B, take a night off. I call myself B, apparently. Said, B, take a night off. Wait until Bo comes in. We don't touch it till he comes in. It fired off on its own. Yeah. Thank you, Bo. Make sure we're still, like, when it comes back out, make sure we're still on air. Keep that external handy. I mean when we come back, so it's not taking over an audio server. Hey. Like, I don't know. Is it me? Do I suck? Well, what? do. I do. Is 14 hours a day not enough for you, huh, Greg? Huh? With you got a best of show this weekend that I have to ingest, huh, Greg? I'm so sore. Oh, by the way, the 315 went to 325 yesterday. I had to put 2 more 5s on. I was like,
we're gonna get another traffic report. By the way,
I don't care. Yeah. I'm thrilled
just
to have it.
You know.
Well, we're still like 9 reports light on the morning, so we're good. Yeah, you are. Well. I hope this email finds you well. My name is Emily Chenevert, and I'm the chair of the newly formed Moms for Liberty. I guess I should save her phone number. It was just a 2? I thought everybody was down.
Everybody was. We got them on before y'all. For whatever reason. Ego was more important.
I understand that. I get it. Hey. Us and Eagle. Wait. You got like a Hall & Oates playlist this morning?
Yeah, it's actually
Are we going to have to do the Call & Oates bit? You don't know the Call & Oates?
I don't know it, but I'm down for it.
Oh.
I mean, it is a playlist. It's a
Scratch that.
Jay Ducote's.
Oh, nuts. You know what? We get Hillar more till the end of the show.
Yeah.
I don't have room for the Call & Oates bit.
Oh, I mean, we could kick the outside in.
I got to have time to prep it.
Oh.
There's work involved. I tell you what. Yeah, let's blow out the outside in. Hey, this show's a wash anyway, right? Like, we missed an hour and a half on the air. All right.
Because I was like, I don't know. There's a lot going on, so I just picked a playlist.
So, one of my favorite things in the world, just because it exists, not Hall & Oates, Call & Oates.
Okay.
Call & Oates is a real life thing.
In the background.
Well,
or no, don't put it down.
No, go ahead you can go ahead and pot that down. Yeah, we've done. I need you to turn the phone pot on and up.
Okay, it's on and up.
All right. I discovered this a few years ago.
Oh, God.
And I apologize in advance because it is so low tech. But, where's the actual number? There is a hotline number. It is an emergency Hall & Oates hotline.
I love it.
Yes, I got to find the actual, there it is. Okay. So, you can call this number
and they'll play
just to get a fix.
You're in the Hall & Oates helpline. To hear one-on-one, please press 1. To hear Rich Girl, please press 2. To hear Maneater, please press 3. To hear Privatize, please press 4.
I pressed 3. Listen to that low quality audio.
This is so good.
It's so
bad it's good.
It's like reliving the 80s all over again. And it just plays the song the whole way through. That's it. You call, you get the kindly operator voice, you hit your automated number,
yeah,
and then you get your Hall & Oates fix. I don't know what's more amazing, the fact that it actually exists,
yeah,
or that somebody thought to do this and did it. Like somebody was sitting around one day and said, you know what people need?
The Call & Oates.
An emergency Hall & Oates hotline.
Sometimes you just really got to hear Hall & Oates.
Quality.
It's like when people had those ringbacks. Like when you're calling.
Do it again. We're doing it again.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
You remember when you would call somebody And like while you're waiting for them to answer, a song is playing. Do you remember that?
Yes. All right. Here we go again.
Welcome to Follow Notes, your emergency Hall and Oates helpline. To hear one-on-one, please press 1. To hear...
I mean, we like to say the internet has given us too much time on our hands, but this is old school. We had too much time on our hands before this. All right. Next hour will be officially our first hour of the day. We're reset with CBS News, and This Day in History is next. I just redid the dumbest bit I've ever done. Have you heard of Call & Oates? And your babysitter? I feel like you could have gotten away with just 2 lawns and cut one of those items out of the equation. Yeah. There's a phone number, area code 719-266-2837. You call it, and this is this cheesy operator voice, and welcome to Call & Oates, your Call & Oates emergency hotline. For one-on-one, press 1. Huh? Yes. So I did the bit like a long ass time ago, like before I was let go, I think. So it was more than 3 years ago. And then she's been playing Hall & Oates songs as bumpers just because there was a handy playlist in front of her. So it's like, what do you like? Do you even know about Call & Oates? So we called it on the air, and then we called it on the air again. Yeah. Either way, it's aggravating to the ill.
To the guys that mow lawns to buy the girls they like concert tickets. What happened to them?
I don't know. Was that a thing?
I don't know. That was just nice.
Okay. What was I doing? I'm supposed to be prepping for something. Yeah, that's your thing. Brett says yes, thanks that I asked the question the right way. I was more honestly, I was more asking Debbie if I put that in the right manner. You know that battle that was fought today in the War of 1812 is pronounced with a T, not a TH. It's Thames, not Thames. Okay. Fantastic then. One of the things we're going to talk about with Patrick Grimmie on tomorrow, making salaries public. More employers are sharing how much jobs pay. Will it close the wage gap? I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. Because when you see when we're finally reveal how much the wage gap actually is, and we learn I can make this for this amount of work, or I can make slightly more for 1,000 times more work, bleep you, I'm gonna go get a side hustle and scale back my job here. Bleep you. Bleep that. How about that? Oh, fake Zuckerberg's birthday's today. man, oh man. Oh, crappers. I'm supposed to give away Beach Boys tickets. Yeah. Concerts tonight. Anybody want Beach Boys tickets? Time to get a look at your forecast. Here's WBRZ meteorologist Marissa Nuzzo. All right, Super Beef Finder says yes, he wants to go see the Beach Boys. All right, then let's do a trivia question, a Beach Boys trivia question. What was the Beach Boys' first #1 hit? Probably Greg Bowser calling early. Yeah, you get that. Is that Greg? 806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way now. Yes, it is hour 3, although it's like hour 1.5 on the air. It's thank you for sticking with us or retuning in this morning as we've had our fair share of difficulties getting the show to you. But it's all systems go at this point. What was it? It was 7:19 when we officially got back on. I don't know. I was in the middle of a conversation. We were doing the whole show over on YouTube instead, and popped back on. And at one point, Alondra's like, "You're on the air." I'm like, okay, I wasn't saying anything I shouldn't be. So we're back at it now, though. Busy hour for you this hour. Before we get to that, I want to thank attorney Franz Borghardt for helping me manage the way through the YouTube portion of this, which was just an absolute marathon. We did legally serve with attorney Franz Borghardt this morning, as we do every single Wednesday. We had Emily Chenevert from Moms for Liberty EBR on. That was we were mid-interview when we popped back up on the air there. And we had Congressman Garret Grace for D.C. Current last hour. This hour, Greg Bowser is going to join us in our next segment, and District Attorney Hillar Moore later on in the show. Going to get you to this day in history in just a minute. Before we do, though, want to remind you, game day weekend. I know it's an early kickoff, but that's going to mean a lot of post-game tailgating this Saturday as LSU takes on Tennessee at number 25 versus number 8 in Tiger Stadium. And you know your game day headquarters is Methurns. Now, when you have that split tailgate, if you're going out there for a little breakfast tailgating, that's cool. But if you're not packed up and ready to roll for breakfast, then what's going to happen post-game? Just swing by Methurns. They are on campus. They are right across the street from Tiger Stadium. If they're in the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, corner of Nicholson and Skip Burtman Drive, if you're looking at Tiger Stadium, boom, turn around. They've got you covered for all your tailgating necessities. They are your game day headquarters. And oh, by the way, full-service grocery store every other day of the week as well. Swing on by Methurns in the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center. Time for this day in history. Let's hit it. All right, what happened? What happened today?
Well, first of all, we were off air.
Yeah, this day in today history. Yeah.
Yes. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'll start off in 1568.
Sure.
In 1568, the Conference of York begins, a.k.a. the trial against Mary, Queen of Scots.
Oh, I thought that was where they made the peppermint patties.
No. I don't think they had peppermint patties in 1568.
You don't know.
I don't know. I wasn't around then.
That's right.
In 1921, the first baseball World Series radio broadcast.
Hey!
The Yankees beat the Giants 3-0.
All right.
Sports writer Grantland Rice is the caller.
Okay.
Yeah. In
Grantland Rice.
1947, President Harry Truman makes the first ever televised presidential address from the White House, asking Americans to cut back on their use of grain in order to help starving Europeans. So I got to starve because someone on the other side of the pond is starving.
No, you feel free to be as selfish as you want to be.
I will be. In 1961.
I mean, it was on this day that Americans first opted towards going keto. That's another way to look at it.
Yeah, pretty much. In 1961, Breakfast at Tiffany's, the film, premiered today, starring Audrey Hepburn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In 1974, American Dave Kuntz completes the first round-the-world journey on foot, taking 4 years and 21 pairs of shoes to complete the 14,500-mile journey across the land masses of 4 continents.
This doesn't make sense.
How does it not make sense?
How did he get from Europe to here?
He swam.
That's not on. Well, no, I don't think he swam the Atlantic
He
Ocean.
didn't swim. I don't know. He probably flew.
I can understand, but
okay, so basically, he completed a 14,500-mile journey across the land masses of 4 continents.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but it wasn't on foot to get from one continent to the next. I mean, you could probably get from Alaska to Russia.
Yeah.
That can happen. But and I'm assuming he's going east to west. Like, let's say he just starts in Boston.
Yeah.
And then just
started in Boston.
Treks westward from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine you can get
us
all
a little
the way
more
around.
Information on this.
You had no idea I was going to be this interested in this one, did you? No.
His hometown of Waseca, Minnesota. Waseca, Minnesota. On June 20th, 1970.
Mm-hmm.
He was tired of Waseca, tired of my job, tired of a lot of little people who don't want to think, and tired of my wife.
The hell? What?
Dude was tired of his wife and said, "I'm gonna go circumnavigate the world on foot."
I mean,
yeah, he went through 21 pairs of tennies.
Yeah, I don't. That to me doesn't make sense either.
Only 21, right? I feel like it'd be a lot more.
No, if you get from, I don't know if he started.
Wait. Oh, never mind.
We're gonna skip ahead to birthdays. We're running late already.
Sorry.
No, it's not your fault. It's just Bitterman's fault that he leaves because he hates his wife.
Yeah.
And he goes walking, and somehow he finds a Foot Locker in Siberia to re-up on his Nikes.
Yeah. Instead of just getting a divorce and moving towns, he said, "I'm gonna circumnavigate the world." Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. I'm gonna give just one more.
Okay.
In 1989, the Dalai Lama, the exiled religious and political leader of Tibet, is awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in recognition of his nonviolent campaign to end Chinese domination of Tibet.
All right.
Free Tibet.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll skip ahead to birthdays. In 1829, Chester A. Arthur was born on this day.
He's the president that had the middle school named after him in Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Yes. In 1949, Bill James, American baseball writer and statistician.
Underserved American hero, Bill James.
James.
You don't even know.
I don't.
Sabermetrics.
And
Moneyball.
Moneyball is a great movie. I do know.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
In 1957, Bernie Mac was born on this day.
All right, no.
In 1958, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
In 1975, Kate Winslet.
Mm-hmm.
In 1983, fake Mark Zuckerberg, like you said, Jesse Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenberg, who played Mark Zuckerberg in
the social. I watched that movie the other night again.
He was also in that movie with the 4 magicians.
I used to love that movie, and I can't remember the name of it.
Now You See Me.
Now You See Me. And then there's Now You See Me Too.
Yeah.
They made 2 of them. The second one sucked. In 2004, Rodney Dangerfield died.
Oh, no.
Yeah. In 2011, so did Steve Jobs of pancreatic cancer.
Yep.
Let me see what national day it is. It is National Above the Bus Day.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, there's a better one.
No, that one because we were talking about Tony Spells.
Oh, yeah. No. It's National James Bond, International James Bond Day.
National Give Funky Day.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Saying Bond should get his own day. And we're due up for a break. We're talking with Greg Bowser next. Oh, the brother Timothy Weinsteel's going on. Hey, Greg. I've been muted this whole time. Yes, she was part of part of that group, and she had mentioned on the way out that she talked about she had mentioned to Renee Amar that she was coming on the show. So who is this? Is that Post Malone? Marshmallow? Oh. 817 Talk 1073 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Right back to the hotline as the conversation continues this morning. Joining us now is the CEO of the Louisiana Chemical Association, Greg Bowser. Greg, how are you, man?
Doing well. How you doing?
Doing very good this morning. Now we're doing very good. We had our fair share of hurdles this morning, but we're good now. We got a lot of ground to cover, and honestly, we don't have you on often enough. So let's dig in.
All right.
Actually, let's start within your office. Your office has been very active. You've got a number of announcements of projects that are coming out there. Tell me what's new. Tell me what's going on.
Billion of industrial projects that are underway just in the capital region, and it's probably about another 11 billion or so that have not been publicly talked about. People have inside the beltway, if you will, inside the industry, people have talked about it. So a lot of growth there, a lot of opportunity for the Baton Rouge area and Louisiana to see some expansion.
A few of the ones that have been talked about.
We've got the $1.6 billion Methanex plant down in Ascension Parish, which is a huge get for us. And then we've got Shintech over in West Baton Rouge that have made some substantial investments to their facility. So those two are big ones. And then you have the blue hydrogen complex down in Burnside that Air Products is putting up. That's about a $4.5 billion project.
And those three right there are going to mean a lot of jobs at a time where we're seeing a shift, if you will, of where energy is headed, to be sure, especially the blue hydrogen project. We're seeing a shift with where the jobs are actually available. What is Louisiana Chemical Association's role in keeping out in front in that, not just from the product standpoint, but from the workforce standpoint?
Do is to make sure that we inform the public of exactly what these projects mean, not just in the short term, but in the long term, as we transition not just our industry, but our economy as a whole. The whole idea of climate change and reductions of emissions, those are the kinds of things that we try to make sure that we inform the public of and let them know why it's a good idea for some of the things that they're doing. And these are not just expansion projects. Now we're doing the same old thing. They're going to be more modern and less reduce emissions by a great deal.
We're talking with Greg Bowser from the Louisiana Chemical Association about a few of the things they've got going on. Of any of the untalked, or you said it kind of inside the Beltway projects, is there anything that can be talked about, or is everything still kind of embargoed for now?
We've got a lot still embargoed.
Okay.
Some of these projects have already been announced. Those we can talk a little bit about, but everything else has still been kind of embargoed, and a lot of that's because you're dealing with a lot of different multinational corporations, and they've got to go through their hoops to make sure they clear it all.
Fair enough. Hey, I've got a couple of different topics that we want to cover outside of just the announcements from the association itself. One of the press releases on the association's website says LCA has a statement regarding the creation of the EPA Office of Environmental Justice. What is that statement? And let's talk about an Office of Environmental Justice.
The administrator from EPA made a visit to Mississippi, Texas, and Louisiana, and we invited him to meet with us so we could sit down and talk about what LCA member companies are doing to help reduce emissions and some of the things in working with communities. And we didn't get that meeting. He didn't have time to meet with us. And then a month or so later, we decided to invite ourselves to Washington, D.C. and said, we'll come up and meet with you. Pick a time. We gave him 2 weeks, and we said, pick any day, any time, and we'll show up, and we can talk about what we're doing. And I think when you start talking about environmental justice communities, and you really want to talk to both sides so that you'll know what companies are doing within that community to help the community understand the benefit of the company being there. But to go in and talk to one side, I think it's going to give you a misguided view of what's happening.
Not just a misguided view, but a creation of good guys, or the perception of good guys and bad guys. And inevitably, the company ends up coming out from a PR perspective as being perceived as the bad guy, when there has been so much advancement in technology of protecting the environment by the corporate end. Yes, mistakes happen from time to time, but y'all have come a long way, and y'all meaning like anybody that would fall under the association's umbrella, come a long way in everything from reducing emissions to adapting new policies and standards.
Emissions, not just in the industrial quarter, and that's why we were adding facilities. And so those are the kinds of things that we want to share with the administrator so that he could see what we're doing and see the progress. But, you have to be careful when you work for the government and you decide to choose sides, because you're basically taking government and arming it against the other side. And that's all we wanted to do, was say, look, let's just have a discussion here and see where we are.
So the Office of Environmental Justice, what is its role supposed to be?
I have no idea.
Okay.
That's why we wanted to have the discussion. I have no idea what the role is going to be.
Well, and that's saying, and this is something that we end up talking about on the show a lot, is like when it's ambiguous like that, and it can be anything. It can, when it's set up in that manner, you can pick bad guys and good guys. You can pick winners and losers. You can find out who your next target is going to be without setting actual goalposts before you move those goalposts. We're talking with Greg Bowser from the Louisiana Chemical Association. Greg, I got to ask you about, before we get to that, let's talk about, you mentioned the green hydrogen plant. What goes into that? What is green hydrogen? What does it do, and how is it going to serve our community? Blue hydrogen, excuse me.
I think they have blue, green, and pink. I have no idea what all different colors mean. They label them that way. It's an engineering, chemical engineering terms that they have. and it's one of those things that reduces emissions, protects the ozone, and you don't have the harmful impacts that you would normally have with emissions.
So within that, that's going to mean new jobs.
There will be some new jobs tied to it. That's correct. I don't know if you saw Lawrence Scott's prediction yesterday about what's going to happen in this area. I think he's talking about 2023, 4,500 new jobs in this area with manufacturing. And of course, you've got the Amazon thing coming online as well.
Yeah.
And then I think there's even a bigger prediction for 2024.
And what is LCA's role in those new jobs? Because, I mean, I would imagine there's a lot of new training that goes along with it. What is y'all's role in that? Just as a facilitator, or do you get a little bit deeper?
I'm a facilitator. We're talking about the help companies locate those people, to talk about the training that's available to folks who are looking for jobs, to really go out and reach out to the community and let them know what's available, and then work with the companies to make sure that the people of Louisiana understand what the kind of training that they have to do and where they can get that training.
Well, let's shift gears here and talk a little bit about what's about to be going on around Lake Maurepas. There's a plan to store CO2 underneath the lake, as I understand it. Where does LCA come in on this? Do y'all have a take on the project as a whole? What goes into it?
Yeah, CO2 storage is something that's been going on for many, many years. There's been a lot of it in Canada. I know around Alberta, they've had a lot of CO2 storage there. The technology is safe. It's been proven safe time and time again. So we've been involved with a number of companies who want to do that. And one of the things about it is Louisiana seems to be ideally positioned to kind of be a leader in the U.S. in carbon storage. And it's a way to help us reach our goals of reducing CO2 emissions overall. And so I think it's a great thing. There are a lot of protections in it. It's not dangerous. It's not an unproven technique.
How much carbon can be stored, and what happens to it? Does it just sit there? Does it have a shelf life or a half-life or anything like that? What happens once it's down there?
I think once it's sealed, the overall process, once carbon is sealed there, I think it basically goes back into the rock formation that's there. And so it doesn't explode or do anything like that. It's under pressure, and that's what it does.
The folks in Livingston and Ascension parishes have a lot of concerns about this. What's being done? I don't want to say on the PR front, but on the educational front here.
We're meeting with them, and we're having companies themselves come in and talk. Companies that actually do this come in and talk to individuals in the community, elected officials, as well as town hall meetings. I think we have two companies that are looking at doing some CO2 storage on the Lake Maurepas, and what we're doing is having two separate hearings. There are going to be two separate public hearings to take them individually so that they'll have enough time to talk about exactly what each company's process is, so people will understand what this means.
Got Greg Bowser from the Louisiana Chemical Association for another minute or so. Is there a timeline on approval for this project?
There is not. I don't believe they're going to give it as much time as they can, because you've got to have the public hearings, and then there's some other rules and regs that have to be established at the state level, and so it'll be probably, I'm going to guess, 60 to 90 days.
I asked Congressman Graves the same question earlier, so I'm going to toss this one at you as well. How much of what moves forward here is going to be based in science, and how much is going to be based in perception?
For us at LCA and our member companies, it's going to be, science will have 90%, drive 90% of what we do. We believe you have to follow the science. That's just because of the company's background. You're in a safe place when you do that. So in terms of perception, I'm sure there'll be some out there, but in our industry, the science is what's going to drive what we do.
He is Greg Bowser from the Louisiana Chemical Association. I appreciate the time this morning. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Brian. Have a good one.
You do the same. All right, my next stop is scientists. Like, that's my next stop with this. Hey, because here's where I'm having trouble here. Every time we exhale, that's CO2, correct? Like, that is that, am I oversimplifying? So what would putting that underground do? But there is a ton of concern about what would happen to Lake Maurepas. Like what happens when you inject too much CO2 in the water. Fish kills, worse, anything? Yeah, the next stop is going to be a scientific one. That is the only place we can go from here. Hey, the only place we can go from here is to news coming up at the bottom of the hour, and then District Attorney Hillar Moore is in next, along with a few other guests. We're going to be talking about the potential for having a domestic violence court here in Baton Rouge. Before we get you to news, though, got to remind you about the folks over at Complete Collision Center. They've got 2 locations, Plank Road in Zachary and the corner of Bluebonnet and Perkins right here in Baton Rouge. Certified by more than a dozen major manufacturers. Look, I tell you about Complete Collision every day, but if you don't want to take my word for it, how about taking the word of the people who built the dadgum car in the first place? They have that. Certified by more than a dozen major manufacturers. They also have the iCar Gold Class certification. Puts them in a very elite class. How elite? The top 15% of body shops nationwide. Check them out online at CompleteCollision.com, CompleteCollision.com, or give them a call, 768-9898, 768-9898. When you're in an accident, your insurance company is going to have a suggestion as where you take your car. Keep in mind, that's just a suggestion. Check out Complete Collision and CompleteCollision.com. It doesn't help that I'm so that doesn't help. Am I wrong there? Like, you breathe in oxygen, you breathe out carbon dioxide, CO2. But if you put it underground, everyone's going to die. Right. Like, I don't really want to infect my skin with dihydrogen oxide, but
Yeah. I have no comment on it because I'm dumb and know nothing. So
that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm in the exact
I
same
don't know
spot.
anything.
I willfully plead ignorance and seek to know more.
I'll be 100% honest with you. I have no idea what y'all are talking about. None.
And the other part of this is how much of an impact is it going to have on our carbon emissions? And is there a carrot on the end of this stick? What do we get if we do it?
I don't know. Like, I was writing stuff down for my description, but I literally have.
And then your eyes glazed over?
I literally have no idea what y'all are talking about. That's what makes this hard for me. Like, that I don't know, like, anything about anything.
That's all good. I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. Oh, man. Hey, YouTube. Thank y'all for sticking around this morning. Oh, Holden's coming back on next week. Holden Hagen. Yeah.
I have a picture of my great-grandpa with Loretta Lynn because my grandpa used to own a bunch of dance halls in Corpus Christi, Texas. Or my great-grandpa. And Loretta Lynn played at one of his places. It was called the Yellow Rose.
Yeah.
So this is my great-grandpa with Loretta Lynn.
Hey, nice.
That's my grandma's dad. Maybe you should get like an organic chemist on.
That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
No, and I'm going to get away from. I don't want LCA giving me somebody because I don't want the perception that they're in the that they're one-sided on this.
Yeah.
They're oh, hey, we might need to zoom out a little bit for this segment.
Like a based fact. or a
Right.
fact-based.
And I want to talk to the folks from Air Products about the blue hydrogen. But like when I want scientists, I'm going to go to LSU.
Yeah. Always. They're always brought to you by Shawbills.
That's why I love having conversations.
Because the people are just telling you like why they think that they should do it or should not do it.
Right. I don't.
A scientist is just going to tell you straight up, like.
Right. These are the numbers. This is what will happen.
Yeah.
This is what is likely to happen to this percentage.
Yeah.
Let me go get Hillar.
Okay.
And Crowd. Hillar and company. Ready? Yep. You roll. Kristen what? Ray B.Y. Bill Freeman.
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. I can introduce them.
Yes, please. I want you hanging
So
out.
Patty Freeman. Iris.
Freemin or Freeman? Freeman. I missed them on both fronts.
Trouble Raven. She is the
Director of Victim Services.
Come on, Hillar.
I mean, look, they changed titles around. I'd be the DA for as long as I know.
I'm still catching up. It doesn't help that it's like on the back end of basketball last night. Oh, I do weather here. I mean, took my 5th grade girls into St. Jude, walked out with a W. We'll do that. Mm-hmm. We are looking at more gorgeous weather really all week long. Sunny skies today with a high of 85. Overnight low tonight gets down to 60. We top out at 87 tomorrow, where the overnight low before Friday morning gets down to 59. 89 on Friday, and then looking ahead to Saturday game day, a high of 86 under partly cloudy skies. I'm not really seeing much rain in the forecast until we get to next Wednesday, when a 50-50 shot at rain pops back in. Right now, we're looking at 70 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. .838 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Time to welcome in our district attorney for a little segment we call On the Air with Hillar Moore. Hillar, what's happening, man?
Yankees won. They're in the
I don't
playoffs.
I don't need to hear about the other New York team.
Yes.
No, no. I'm a Mets guy, by the way.
Yeah,
So,
actually. So
yeah.
how are you guys doing?
You know what? Did Hester put you up to this? So Jacob Hester's a big Braves fan, and he comes down for the last 3 mornings, and he stands right outside that window doing the
chop.
Yeah.
Well.
Yep.
Everybody has a team, but mine's God's team and America's team. So
I mean,
not sure who you
has been for quite some time. Been for quite some time. Yeah,
right
big night last night for Aaron Judge.
Yeah. Kid.
Yeah, I mean, if he was in the National League, he'd still be like 5th or 6th on the list. But an American League record to say the least. I love all the people touting like all the guys that are above him on the number of home runs per season, and nobody's touting how many times they sat on needles.
Yeah.
So
the asterisks.
The whole crew. Well, pitchers took steroids too. Not the same thing. Anyway, real business to talk about here. You got a crew in with you.
Yeah, I got some really nice ladies, very hardworking folks. Kristen Raby, she's the director of victim services for the district attorney's office, and much of that has to do with domestic violence and violent crimes, homicide, attempted murders, and Patty Freeman, who we're fortunate to have now as the director of IRIS. She retired from the sheriff's office as an outstanding detective investigator in the domestic violence field. Thought she was retiring to come work for me, and then got a better gig at the IRIS. And so now she's serving our community in other ways and not on vacation. So we're here with two really fabulous ladies that work hard and are dedicated to domestic violence. And this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
It is.
And therefore they're here.
Where do we want to start? Do we want to start with Patty here and start with the new move to IRIS?
Yeah, and I think Patty can describe the work that she did, and she worked with the Family Justice Center and how we leveled offenders, and now her new role in IRIS and the type of population they serve and how she interfaces with all the others.
Sure. Patty, welcome aboard. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing very, very well. Okay, so moving into the role over at IRIS, what attracted you to that post?
For me, having moved from investigations where I interacted with victims and their children, and then being able to move into a role where I actually was able to facilitate providing services for those victims and survivors and children.
Let's back up for just a second and talk about what IRIS does and how those services are provided.
So IRIS is an extraordinary organization. We provide all of our services free of charge to survivors, victims of domestic violence and their children, meaning emergency housing, shelter, long-term housing in some cases, all of the food and clothing that they wear we provide while they're in shelter, free legal services should they apply for a protective order. IRIS can provide a free attorney and also an advocate for them in court, and that's in an 8-parish area, so it's a vast service.
That covers a lot of ground. From short-term to long-term housing alone is two different things. And just to kind of put it in perspective for the listener, when we talk long-term housing, how long-term are we talking about here?
Well, we have a transitional housing that could go for a duration of months. We've just been approved under another program that will kick off here shortly, where we can actually assist with rent and monthly household bills for those survivors for anywhere from 12 to 24 months.
12 to 24 months. It's a long time to kind of be in limbo. And I'm kind of walking us up to where we're going in a little while with that is as the legal process bears itself out, correct?
Or these services are available to victims whether they report to police or not.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So some victims they're strong enough to step away, but perhaps are fearful of the legal process. Of course, coming from the career that I've just retired from, my advice would always be to reach out to the police for assistance. But if they're just not strong enough to take that step, we still can offer them the same resources and services that we provide to everyone else.
What is that back and forth like? Because I would imagine everything inside of you would want to just kind of push them as far possible that way. But I understand it's each case would be a tenuous situation. What's that like when it comes to encouraging them to walk down the path of reaching out to law enforcement?
Well, of course, we encourage, but don't press.
Okay.
They've been through a traumatic experience in the shelter. Maybe 2 weeks ago, we had 18 children and half as many moms.
Oh, wow.
So they're bringing their children into a place of shelter following trauma, and pressing and pushing to take an avenue towards law enforcement often isn't the right way to go. However, we do encourage it because we want to hold those abusers accountable for their actions.
Absolutely, you do. In the time since you've taken over, what has been the most surprising thing about the new role and about IRIS itself that you maybe weren't ready for?
Maybe the day-to-day of it, where you're trying to take care of the operating business, but have to stop and move into individual issues with victims that you have to resolve in the moment. Yeah. It's a lot, but it's worth every moment of every day.
What are the biggest challenges right now?
The biggest challenges are, I guess, we are a nonprofit organization, so we count on the generosity of others. businesses, individuals, grant funding. And so that source of funding, we're ever searching for that source of funding so that we can continue in our mission.
So it's a tough job. I mean, she's had to deal with really basic things of just the structure of the iris itself. We had a rat issue that is now recovered, and now she's building playgrounds outside for different ages of children and trying to also adapt that inside. So it's not only the woman that comes there; it's her family and their school needs and education. It's a lot of work.
No, it's balancing a lot, and all the while protecting those who have come forward, protecting those who have come to you in every aspect of it. I mean, it's very easy to get kind of lost in the weeds with. It's not just providing shelter, but making sure the person they're trying to get away from doesn't know where that shelter is as well. It's a big thing.
It is. It is.
Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about some of the victim services. Welcoming in Kristen Raby. Kristen, give us a little bit of your job description.
Okay, good morning. I'm the director of victim services at the DA's office. What we do, excuse me, is we're there as a liaison for the victims as soon as the court process starts. We make sure that they're not alone. We make sure that they're connected to resources. We're there to advocate, to bring their voice stronger, to make it to where that they feel like they can speak up. They have someone in their corner as they go to that courtroom to face their abuser. So we're there for them. Lots of times we spend hours on the phone with some victims just because they need some type of support. We're always looking for resources. That's our biggest thing.
Yeah.
And then, we work hand in hand with Iris a lot. So
it sounds like there's a little bit of coaching and a little bit of education and then a little bit of support on the back end of that. Well, I should just say a little bit of all. It's a combination of all three. What are the toughest challenges when dealing with the victims? Is it getting them to speak up? Is it getting them to understand what the consequences are for and against?
yes, that's a twofold question because that is true. It is a hard time trying to get them to understand where they're at, and then also getting them to that process of ready to make that move. You know, because we also understand that when a woman decides to press charges, when they decide to leave, that's when it's going to get more volatile. So we have to play it safe. You know, we have to come up with a plan to make sure that they feel like, okay, if I do this, am I going to be safe? So, you know, educating them and just having a safety plan in place, that's very important.
So, Kristen, can you also talk a little bit about the other side? Once they do call the police and the police are called, someone's arrested, and then the next week or the following 2 weeks when you and the other counselors meet them and they want to drop the charges and say it didn't happen the way that it did, how trying and troubling that is for us and you, and just the weight on the shoulders of the counselors that deal with these ladies.
Oh, yes. So we do have a lot of women that come in that do want to drop charges, and a lot of times they're just forced to. They're brought there by the person's family members. They're getting phone calls saying, you know, if you don't go drop these charges, I'm going to do this, this, and this. So when they do come in, we sit down, we have a conversation with them. And sometimes they want to save their relationship, and we understand that. We're not here to break up people's families. You know, our office is here to make sure you are safe. We're about making sure the community is safe. So I did have one young lady call. She had done 2 drop charges. Probably about 3 months ago, she came in and she said, I was terrified the day I came in. She said, I walked out of this office and I broke down crying because I knew I didn't want to drop those charges. And I said, well, look where you're at today. I said, you're here, and that's what matters now. I said, we're going to be with you the whole step of the way. She is terrified. She's not from here. She has no family. She has no transportation. And so that's the type of things that we're trying to help work with the victims to get them to a place of safety.
No, absolutely. And one of the repercussions of this is, and we have Chief Paul on once a month, and he's told us regularly, the number one reason behind homicides in Baton Rouge is drug deals, and number 2 is domestic violence, and that is the person who walks out of your office not wanting to press charges. The next time when it goes too far, they're often on the end of the one. You know, they're the one that's going to be in trouble for, you know, for homicide later on down the road. It's just it's a tough road to walk. We're gonna have to break here on air. On YouTube, we will continue throughout the break. We've got District Attorney Hillar Moore, Patty Freeman, and Kristen Raby in studio this morning. We do this once a month. We call it On the Air with Hillar Moore. We get updated on things going on at the DA's office. I want to take a different tack when we come back on air, though, and talk about, from a domestic violence perspective, what would be the benefits of having a court that specializes in exactly that? I mean, would Patty's job and Kristen's job be a little bit easier if there were that level of specialization, that level of streamlining? Let's dive into that on the back end. Right now, though, we got to check your money now. We are also going to get one more check of traffic before we return and close things out on the other side of the break. You're listening to Mornings with Brian Haldane on Talk 107.3 FM, the new flavor of talk in Baton Rouge. So that's cool to walk up in that regard. Okay. So, Patty, how do y'all's jobs coincide? How often do y'all, step on up to the mic a little bit. How often do y'all cross paths?
Oh, daily.
Yeah.
Daily.
Yes.
In what way? How does this work because I would imagine it would go from you to you, right?
Well, when the DA is advocating for a victim that they have coming into court, we can provide the services to shelter that victim, to move them into a place of safety while they're going through those proceedings. And those victims who would be hesitant because of financial reasons don't have to worry about that at IRIS because everything is free there. All of our services are free.
How big of a factor is that overall? Even with free services, that's got to be a looming thing, like even subconsciously for the victim to be like, yeah, this is great, but it's got to be finite.
It doesn't really have to be finite because
no, perception-wise.
Perception-wise, perhaps. And once we're able to get them in and work with our case managers and our client services, I feel like we can change that perception by showing them the opportunities and what we're able to do for them and with them.
Let's go back to the sheltering part of this, because this is where I've had a role in the past. What does short-term sheltering look like?
Short-term for us is a 45-day emergency shelter wing at our facility.
Oh, in-house?
In-house. Okay. And keep in mind that our funding and our resources provide for those victims even if our shelter is full. We have the ability to house at off-site locations that we have available to us. So the shelter is never full.
So the backstory there, I used to work as a sales manager at a hotel, and we had a deal hammered out with, y'all weren't called IRIS at the time, where we would provide a free room, check-in is completely anonymous, like no questions asked, you here's your room, go ahead, blah, blah, blah. And that way, if it was anonymous to us, we honestly couldn't say if an angry husband comes back, but like, is my wife here? Got nothing for you, man.
And those things are still done today for male and female victims.
Now, how tough, I would imagine when they're on property, that's one thing, but how tough is it to walk down the path of, they've got kids that need to go to school? Is that part of this?
No, we've worked out those logistics and have the ability to, and school board has been amazing with that, with their transfer buses and trail buses, being able to get children to school and arrange for them to be safe as well while doing so.
Cool stuff. And when they're make it from IRIS over to you, what's that transition looking like?
It goes both ways. So we will refer, they will refer. When they come to us, they have started their safety plan. We have started, procedures of how we're going to get them to court. Lots of times we tell victims, do not come to court unless it's absolutely necessary. We do not need them there.
Yeah.
There's no reason for them to be there. So we try to we're there in court for them. So, excuse me, once that happens, we are communicating with them, keeping that line of communication open for the ADA and the victim to make sure that we don't lose that, because that's very important also. We lose a lot of communication because either their phone gets cut off or the person that they were with, they were the primary carrier, so they don't have a ways to communicate. So we are trying to help make sure that stays afloat. Like, we have resources. We reach out to IRIS. We reach out to other organizations that will help pay for our cell phone bill, and just making sure we have communication with them.
Sure, absolutely. How has this grown in recent years? Because I would imagine the more awareness there is, the better response has been.
I think even our resources have doubled and tripled with regards to space, location, all of that, to try to combat the increase in the number of cases that we're seeing.
When, like we said, when we come back in on air, we got another, I don't know. Yeah, we're going to have about 4 minutes worth of airtime when we come back in. But I want to talk about that domestic violence court and where we're at. How likely is it? And what the benefits it would provide. Yep. All right. Coming back in right after traffic here. So this morning at 4:30, 4:29, the entire system crashed.
Yeah, I heard it.
We were dead silent. Well, no, so we weren't silent.
I was listening, yeah.
We were in national programming. Yeah. So we had the satellite feed, but every time we would kick back for local commercials, there was nothing there. It was just dead silence. So we go to CBS News, top of the hour, silence, local commercials, silence. We just could not connect with anything. And then 6 o'clock rolls around. The last command the computer had was that national satellite program, so I couldn't even go live. We are so reliant upon that that we couldn't manually it would be like a plane flying on autopilot and you can't regain control. You can't take over from the autopilot. And that's where we were at. So we spent when I got here this morning. Yeah. When I got here this morning, there were already 3 people working on it in contact with the people who created the system and whatnot. Yeah, we moved the whole show. We're on YouTube every single day, which this segment, we're always on YouTube. Cameras right over there. So the whole show was on YouTube. It was like we had 0 air. So just sending everybody over there, post it up on social media. Hey, we're not dead. Yeah. So it's been a morning, to say the least. We do this every month. We call it On the Air with Hillar Moore as part of Mornings with Brian Haldane. Got just a couple minutes left. Want to bring the district attorney back into the conversation a good bit because what we're talking about today revolves around domestic violence. And Hillar, you and I have talked about before a little bit the idea of a domestic violence court. I would like an update as to not only where we're at, like the probability or viability of a project like that versus what it would actually provide for the community.
So yeah, good question, timely question. We will have a domestic violence court in one form or fashion or another. And that means that these 2 ladies and other similarly situated organizations are going to be even more busy. And I think they're going to probably find more funding and more help. So we are trying to move in a direction with the 19th Judicial District Court judges, particularly Judge John Johnson, the mayor's office, all of our providers, our office, the public defender, with starting a purely domestic violence court. More than likely, we'll start off as a treatment type of court to get help to offenders and victims, and then eventually making it more robust to handle not only treatment, the kind of gentler side, but also prosecution, because we obviously need both. And we looked at the number of cases. We average around 11,000 cases a year. 2,000 of those are domestic violence. So not one quarter, but one whole section of court can handle nothing but domestic violence, and we have the volume for that.
Is there benefit to having that specialized like that from the judge's standpoint as well? Is there's benefit to having that this is what you do?
So a judge obviously has to become educated in the field of domestic violence and treatment for victims and defendants. And then you see that same person over and over again coming back to the court over again, then as a judge we'll have to do something different, or we know as a prosecutor have to do something different. But also that judge gets to hold them accountable and help the victim and send them to places like this in court at one spot that everyone knows to be there. Same thing with guns. We have 2,000 gun cases a year. I'd like to see a potential gun court to where same person over and over again with multiple gun violations gets before that same judge. And let's try to help those we can and do something different others.
Are we seeing the legal system start to move towards this specialization across the board?
Yeah, there's pros and cons of both. It depends on how you treat defendants, what model you use. So, yes, a lot of you're seeing recently a veterans court that we're opening up. So, hopefully veterans will take advantage of that. And but no, this is going to be a big step once the mayor's office has been right there with us with funding, potential funding. The judges are really outstanding at this right now, so looking forward to it.
So roughly 2,000 cases per year, and we got less than a minute to go. 2,000 cases per year. About how long does a domestic violence case take?
Depends on the case. Depends on cooperation of witnesses or not. Downloading cell phones, you name it. Whether they'll reoffend again and as a new trial, it depends. Within a year, sometimes longer.
Okay, I mean, and then that says so much though, because with as backlogged as your office has been, and really the entire system has been, from COVID to the outlandish crime rate, this level of specialization feels like it could help speed things up.
But being in one court is going to shed more light on the whole situation.
Yep.
And I think it's going to really help our situation.
Hillar Moore, Patty Freeman, Kristen Raby, thank y'all so much for the time this morning.
Appreciate it, man.
Welcome.
You've been listening to Mornings with Brian Haldane. The Fox News Rundown's up next. All right, YouTube, I got to skedaddle. I got my Scientology interview coming up. Oh, my word.